Okay. Screaming.
Great. That's
That good?
so unpleasant. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, you covered for me perfectly. Thank you. Yeah. That's definitely helping me get the stuff done I need to get done. Okay,
Yes.
we're good.
We're here.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Chris, you look like one of those
Welcome.
inflatable things. What are those called? The inflatable.
Yeah, the wacky inflatable tube man. That is what I was going for.
Okay, good.
I wasn't looking. I really hope you were like doing the arm thing and
I was.
not
That's
just
what I
like
was
calling
doing.
a
There it is.
random shot of like you look like
Yeah, that's what
an
I was doing.
inflatable man. Just uncalled for, unprovoked.
I'm just trying to be like when you wiggle your pencil and you make it rubber.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
The magical rubber pencil.
Classic trick.
Friends, welcome to the pre-show for the R&R Show. I'm Ruel. That's Chris. That's Ray. Welcome on in. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be recording the next episode of the R&R Show for YouTube, but we do that here live on Twitch because we love hanging out with you all. We appreciate you. Thank you, Barefoot Bug, for resubscribing for 6 months, and also Feldfan for 27 months. Thank you, Feldfan. Kudos to you, friend. And folks, if you want to subscribe, you would we'd be really grateful if you subscribe. You can subscribe for free if you have an Amazon Prime account. So take some of Jeff Bezos' money and toss it on over here. You get all kinds of benefits like discounts on Rahdo merch, and I think the coolest thing is you get a secret link to a bunch of run-throughs that Richard's done. And I think he does like 30 of them or something, 30 videos that only you can access. Yeah, 30.
That's so many.
Yeah, that's a ton.
The man has to be stopped. That's so many.
Has to be stopped.
Yeah.
That's insane.
He needs to take a
You can't keep
break.
getting away with this.
Exactly.
He's making the rest of us look bad. We also want. Did you shout out Barefoot Bug? It looks like Barefoot Bug has also subscribed.
Yeah, thank you, Barefoot Bug.
Yeah, he did. He got him.
And,
okay, I only heard Feldfan.
Yeah,
because I was blown away by the 27.
Yeah,
months.
27 months.
Is a long time.
Incredible. Copenhagen Cool, thank you for the follow. Want to shout out everyone in chat as well. Stacey Everdell's in the house. Variant Hacks, Board Game Bree, Brian Ashman, all kinds of folks. Thank you, Rennie Mel, Toady, Feldfan, of course, and Cosmic Beat as well. If I didn't mention you, I will mention you at some point, hopefully, during this. But we got a fun show today, folks. We're talking about cooperative games today, which is going to be a blast because one of us may not really like cooperative games.
Ray's favorite genre.
This sucked. I was gone for like 2 months. You're like, Ray, welcome back. Let's talk about your least favorite genre. I could have just not showed up.
Well, don't leave for so long then next time. That's your
punishment?
fault. This is your punishment.
You make me talk about co-op games? Yuck. Yeesh.
Jamie
I did
Wood,
my best.
hello.
I want everyone in chat to know I really thought about it. I really tried.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah. You picked good ones.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you picked good ones.
Yeah.
I looked at the list before we started.
Yeah.
I had to dig deep. I did find it was a good growing. It was growth. It was personal growth for me because I was going through my logged plays and like my collection and stuff. There are some co-op games I like. It was a good character growth moment for me. There are some that I like. We'll hear about them today.
Now, in your board game journey, and I'll ask this of both you, Chris and Ray, in your board game journey, was there ever a time when you were like really into co-op games or then got out of them or vice versa? For me personally, I was really into cooperative games at first, and then as I got deeper and deeper in the hobby, I like them less and less. But I'll start with you, Chris. What's your take on cooperative games?
I was never like into them, but I have never pushed them over into a pile of mud. I think there are some, unlike some people in this chat and on this stream. I never put a swarm of bees in their house and locked the doors.
The rational reaction, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I think the problem with cooperative games sometimes is that like if you play them with people who aren't into them, in the same level of commitment that you have, you're more likely to have a disconnect, I feel, in terms of like the game experience, because you can have people who are really intense, you can have people who just want to sit around and chat and whatever, and I feel like a competitive game everyone can kind of enjoy in their own sort of intensity and leisure, and so I think for a co-op game where you have the alpha gamer, right, or you can just get a co-op game that just isn't good with that number of people. I think like player count is very specific for co-op games more than a competitive game because there's only so much puzzle to solve. And so if you have a ton of people solving one very small puzzle, that's not going to be an enjoyable experience when the game could be really, really good. So I've always been fine with co-op games. I will much prefer competitive games because I like winning. And I like you losing. And I like to call everyone around the table big old losers and push them into mud and put bees into their houses. But it's only satisfying when you do it in the throes of battle, right? Like that's otherwise then you're just purely mean.
Yeah. You're frightening me with all the bee talk. Chris. What about you, Ray? I mean, it's well known on the internet now that you're not into co-op games, but has it always been like that?
Yeah, it's kind of always been like that for me. I grew up the youngest in like a big family, so like competitiveness was always part of. I always was trying to prove myself as like the youngest player involved.
That's interesting.
And for me, I think Chris really nailed my issue with co-op games for sure. It like is much more dependent on the people you're with. Like if you have a bad group, it can ruin a co-op game.
Yeah.
For me, one of the other things is you'll notice in my list here that there are no like classic Euro games or even classic board games in general. All the games I picked are kind of experimental and different because I, generally speaking, don't like a co-op game that could have been competitive. Like I'm always like, oh, if I could just be beating someone, why wouldn't I?
Yep.
So I like experiential games that are kind of inherently different that really wouldn't work in a competitive setting very well, or like wouldn't be demonstrably like different or anything. So that's you'll see that as a through line with my games in general. I like communication barriers, some sort of external force that you're fighting against that feels real. You'll see there's a real-time game on this list. I like it when there's like the pressure feels real. I get memed for this a lot in like my friend circle that my issue with co-op games is like, why don't I just cheat? It's the same issue I have with solo games of like, I could just cheat. I don't feel like I'm really like when I'm fighting against a real person, there's an integrity to it. And maybe it's just that I suck and I just have no morals and I just have no, sense of anything. But I like it when there's I don't know, co-op games have to be special for me for them to hit. For them to work for me. And generally speaking, I'm like, I'd rather this be competitive. The three on my list, though, I feel like fall into that special category.
That's Ray's feeling on games. Stomp, stomp, murder, murder.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. I do want to shout out Jeremiah Blob. Co-op introduced them to solo gaming, and that was the same thing for me.
That's a cool pipeline.
Yeah, that was definitely me because the first modern game that I bought was Pandemic, and Michelle was really into the theme, like, oh, this is cool, but then the actual gameplay she didn't really care for, and I was like, I just on my own, I was like, oh, I could.
But she loved 2020 then.
Oh yeah, she was all about 2020.
She was really into the theme.
It's like, wow, this is real life.
Then you can live it without the gameplay. It actually was perfect.
Fun.
Crazy.
So that introduced me to solo gaming because I was like, oh, I could sort of play this by myself, and I just sort of figured it out along. I was like, oh, okay, I sort of like this. And for me, solo gaming is like a puzzle, right? It's like solving a jigsaw puzzle. Just it's a little activity I do, when I'm just want to take some time off and chill. But yeah, it's interesting. Ray, so you're the youngest in your family, is that correct?
Yeah,
Chris,
I'm the youngest by like a big margin, so I've always was like.
And Chris, you too.
How many siblings do you have? Yeah, Ray. How many siblings do you have?
4.
Four siblings, so you're the 5th?
Yeah.
What about you, Chris?
I have 3 siblings.
Are you the youngest, Chris?
But also the youngest, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I would have guessed that. You have youngest sibling energy for sure. That's facts.
Give me the attention.
There's got to be something to that. Because I'm the oldest of 3 boys, and my youngest brother, by far the most competitive out of us 3.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if there's got to be something to that. Yeah. Because 100%. I know we used to tease my youngest brother relentlessly when we were little kids.
Well, that's the thing, is
right?
If you lose, you get teased the hardest. If you lose and you're the youngest sibling, you get the most crap for it.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Okay, so there it is. Were you bullied, Chris, as a child?
I'm really trying to consider it.
What an awesome segue. Bullied?
Were you bullied as a child? Honestly, this is why I come on the R&R show. Welcome. I seem like someone who would have been bullied. How dare you?
That's awesome.
You're not wrong. No, I don't think I was bullied that much.
Yeah.
I think, my siblings and I, we always had like a pretty good relationship. I'm 4 years younger than my closest sibling. Like my brother is 38, then 39, and
Mhm.
42, 41. So they're all like, I'm 34, so like they're all within that like close gap.
Mhm.
And then there was a time, and then there was me. But I was pretty. I don't remember being bullied, but I don't remember a lot. I remember when I would get upset as a child. Like I was one of those kids growing up where if I got mad, I would get really red in the face. I'd cry and I'd flail.
Oh,
Right? Like if I got upset, like I
Classic
just had
strategy, works every time.
yep.
yeah, I
I've
had
never had that not work.
so much emotion inside me that like I'd be like, "This is no," and I'd have like the flailing, and then I remembered playing. It was actually when I was playing curling. I got really upset and I like hit a rock, and then I just like I had an outer body moment where I just like pulled outside myself, and I was like, "Oh, that wasn't fun for you or for anyone," and I was like, "Okay,
Aw.
I
Oh,
guess I'll stop that," and then I just stopped it.
oh,
Aw.
I
okay.
was just like, okay, yeah, we're stopped. And then I was like, oh, we can just chill and we can just like be better. And then
Wow.
I just was. But a lot of things
That's
like that
beautiful.
are just
Yeah.
like switches in my head. I'm like, okay, I'll just do it. I'll just change. Boop.
Wow.
Reprogramming, and I
That's
just like
impressive.
alter the circuit boards
Oh my
in my
gosh.
head.
Wow.
So I don't really remember any sort of like bullying though from like my siblings
Okay.
to come back to the question at hand
Yeah.
in this therapy session, the R&R therapy
Oh,
show.
yeah. The R&R therapy show. Interesting. Variant Hex says,
John says Chris's siblings hit him in the head so much he doesn't remember a lot. Yeah, that's probably it,
Yeah.
honestly.
Variant Hex said they're the youngest. I think it made me 0% competitive because I already knew I would lose. I was more interested in playing to understand than playing to win. Okay, that's interesting. So Variant Hex went the
Yeah.
other way. So I could see, yeah. So maybe that really isn't like a youngest sibling type thing.
with with that like because there was an age gap with my siblings, and I really still like board games,
Mhm.
and then they were gone. Like I the only time I solo gamed was as a kid, because I would pull out the
Mm.
board game, I would
Uh,
want to play, but like nobody would be around to play,
yeah.
and so I would just play it myself. So I like soloed Monopoly, like four-handed
Oh,
Monopoly.
Oh, no way.
I soloed, would two-hand like solo the Pokemon Master Trainer game.
Oh,
And I had like my own little Pokemon figures that like I
that's
collected.
so
So it was
that
my
cute.
is
first
super
minis
cute.
game. So I would go around, I try to get the Pokemon that like I had the minis for, and then like make my way there. So that was like my biggest solo gaming era, and
Wow.
I haven't I don't really solo game now, because I always just I like doing it with people, probably stemming from this childhood trauma of being so lonely and just wanting to be around people. I
No,
suppose a therapist might say that. Nah, they'd probably be wrong, but let's go with it.
no, I super empathize because I have a really big age gap. So I'm the youngest of 5, and the closest in age to me is 10 years older than me. So
Mm,
I have
Mm.
much older siblings, decade to 2 decades.
right.
So I was home alone a lot of the time, and when they came home, that was like how we spent time together. That's one of the reasons why I'm also not big. I mean, kind of the reverse for me. I'm not big into solo gaming because board gaming for me is so inherently social. It is
Yeah,
just
me too.
when I go
Yeah.
home, it is how my family has learned to spend time together. It was just like the most bang for our buck, like quality time we could get, like when my siblings would come home. Like, what's the most high intensity that'll actually get us talking to each other and engaging with each other for like a compact amount of time? Board games was just always that. So yeah, that's I think what solo gaming just doesn't hit for me because I'm like, that's not the point. The point, like,
Yeah.
I can do puzzles in the form of video games. I do a lot of solo gaming in that regard. But when it comes
Yep.
to board games, I'm like, I'm at a table. I want drinks. I want chatter. Like, that is
Mhm.
what I want
Yeah.
out of my board games. I will also comment on what Varian Hex said about the like knowing you're gonna lose thing. I think I also picked up a tinge of that because I'm competitive because I wanted to prove myself,
Yep.
but it also just made me a really good loser at the end of the day. Like, I'll be really
Mm,
competitive in a game, but you'll never see me like actually get grumpy afterwards because at the end of the day I did lose all the time because I was 10 years younger than everyone else playing. So I tried really hard and
Yeah.
I wanted to beat my siblings, but I almost never did. And so it does teach a good spirit of you're just going to lose and you have to still find fun in the competition, knowing that it's kind of a pre-written, a foregone conclusion in
Yeah.
a sense that you're not going to win. So I definitely get what you're talking about there, Variant Hex, for sure.
I think Stacy also makes a really good point. Saying I recommend co-op games to players who are super competitive because other games with them are not fun. Like, and they
Valid.
don't have
Yep.
fun in themselves. I definitely know like a few people who I have pushed to play a game. I'm like, nah, you'll be fine. I'm like, I can make you have a good time. I'm like, I really believe in myself, and I should never do that. Um, and it just reminds me I shouldn't. And so I've stopped now. But yeah, I bring them in. I was like, yeah, we'll play, and then they're just like very mad the whole time and like so focused, and like whatever they do, they can't sort of get out of their way. And so like playing co-op
Mm.
games with them, they there's a little bit less pressure. I know a friend too who doesn't really, or who thinks she doesn't like board games, although we've been playing Splendor and she's really enjoying Splendor, and it's
Hell
like
yeah.
the
Nice.
biggest friggin' win. Like Splendor over Azul, because Azul is usually my go-to hit for
Yeah.
like people who don't like games. But
Mhm.
she likes like the creating of the engine. But
Nice.
but she's like, no, I like the co-op games. Like, she's expressed, why would I do something for a very long time that I'm going to be horrible at? And so like the
Yeah.
shorter
Mm.
Yep.
games hit well, but then also the co-op game. She's like, no, if you're on a team, like if you're on a group, like everybody else is, you're all contributing to the end goal. And so that's a lot more exciting, because then even if you're unfamiliar with the game or somebody else is like contributing more, you still feel like you're working together, which I
Mm.
think is like
Oh, that's true.
really, really valid.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, one of the biggest challenges as like someone who teaches a lot of board games is it's weird. It's like to not come across too board gamey, because that fear you mentioned
Yep.
of like, well, I'm not
Yeah.
going to be good at it. And I think a lot of people have an idea, because board games has sort of kind of a stereotype of being like really nerdy, intense,
Mhm.
strategic, competitive, whatever. A lot of people are turned off by that, and they think that if they lose, everyone's going to like point and laugh at them. That you have to like, it's about fostering a spirit of like fun competitiveness that doesn't turn people off and not come across too intense with it, because I spend so much of my time trying to get people into the hobby, and it's a really hard, I have to learn to like rein myself in and not go overboard with strategy or not get too competitive, like verbally competitive with it,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
we're trying to be good ambassadors for the hobby, and it can really, longer games that people feel like they don't understand, or they're gonna lose, and everyone's gonna think they're stupid or whatever, is really a barrier for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point, Ray, about how making people feel comfortable with
Mhm.
we're all nerds, we love the hobby and everything, but someone that's like totally brand new or just is relatively new to the hobby, I think there is something to be said for that, I guess, insecurity or just not feeling comfortable. It's
Yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something stupid here. I don't want to look stupid. No one wants to look
Yeah,
stupid, right?
that nothing like breaks my heart more when they go,
Yeah,
"Oh, that was probably stupid." I'm like, "No, you're learning."
exactly.
That's such, it's so hard, because they just kind of have to go through,
Yeah,
the growing pains of like learning how
yeah.
to have fun with the hobby. I find especially people who are like particularly academic or something, or used to like
Oh yeah.
succeeding in like academic stuff. They
Yeah.
get very anxious. They're like, "Oh, well, I'm not going to be smart, or I'm not going to make the good move or whatever." It's why I have a lot of dumb party games to kind of like show people the breadth of like, there's other stuff out there. It doesn't have to just be an optimization puzzle that there's right and wrong answers to, and
Yep.
because that
It's
really
why every game I
overwhelms people.
play, I sweat buckets in,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm so
yeah.
stressed
Right.
because it's life or death.
Yeah, absolutely.
uh,
Silent Sniper, welcome to chat for the first time. They say I play both, but I much prefer co-op games personally. 80% of what I own is co-op, partly because I prefer solo games. Yeah, we were talking a little bit earlier about
Mhm.
the co-op game to solo game pipeline,
yeah.
which I think is very interesting. But
You
it's
Yes.
get
also
more
way more chill
value
for
that
me.
way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. It definitely is a more chill way to experience board games. And I joke about how much I hate solo and co-op games, but I very much respect it. You're probably happier people than I am, who's like loves to be competitive. I definitely like respect that for sure.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
true. Anybody though who does only play co-op and solo, Ray has a board.
Yeah.
Just it's off camera, but
Yeah.
if you
The hit
see
list.
darts just getting thrown just viciously off camera, it's being thrown at your faces.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
sorry to tell
totally.
you,
yeah.
but it's a good release. It's a good like anger release. So
Jeez.
we let them
I
have
will
it.
say though, in all honesty, everyone that I've ever met who's like really into solo or really into co-op, they like radiate the best energy. They're always like really sweet people who just like want to have a nice time. And I always look at them and I'm like, you seem You seem happy.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
For sure. Definitely. There is that. I like to call it the Rahdo energy, the Care Bear energy, for
100%.
sure.
Yeah.
Which he's got plenty of, which is fun.
I'm gonna call it the Ruel energy. I'm gonna give it the Ruel energy. Even nicer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But I do prefer cooperative. I mean, I do prefer competitive games because I want to stomp on people, but in a nice way, Chris. In a nicer way.
I've always said I want you to stomp on me in a nice way, Ruel. I say it off stream.
What?
I say it every night before I go to sleep.
You won't stop saying it in the group chat. It's making me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I say, Ruel, please stomp on me right now, or the next time I see you.
Well,
I'm not going to comment on that. We're going to continue on with the show.
Well, because I want a challenge. I want a challenge in the board game.
That's right.
Wait, what were you thinking? I was. Oh no, Ruel. Oh, Ruel. I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, just a nice little stomping.
Yeah, I just want you to stomp on my neck in a nice board game fashion.
Okay, there it is. I missed you guys. I really missed y'all. It's been way too long. Actually, Ray and I got to see each other at Gen Con for a brief moment there.
Did.
We weren't planning on talking about this, but I got to talk about the Ops booth, folks. If you're at Gen Con, give it up. That booth, by far the best booth of the con. Like, it was absolutely amazing. Ray,
thank you. I built it myself.
I was going to say, how long did it take you to build that, and how many gnomes helped you build that?
Oh, well, for clarity, it's not the gnome structure. We sponsored the balloon structure, not our booth. That was not our booth. Our booth was the only 2-story booth at Gen Con, and we actually had an accessible second story that was like open air. So all the like meetings that we took were like up elevated above the show. So there's this one angle that you might have seen people like taking pictures from and stuff where it looks like the whole show is in the background. That's from our booth. That's the only place you could get that angle.
Yeah.
That was up in our like meeting and filming area. So Ruel and I got to hang out. We got to film. There's other stuff I'm trying to slog through post Gen Con, but I cannot wait to edit this footage. We had a giant game of Telestrations up there with Max and Doolin from Table Knots, with Ruel, with Bonds, Eric Yurko.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Forgetting someone now. But it was just, it was such a, maybe that was everyone. It was just a great group. It was really, really fun. And I got to film a bunch of videos up there, and it was just the coolest thing. I will say we did contract out another company because the liability of a bunch of nerds building like an actually structurally sound 2-story building, not good. Not good. You do not want that. It was really cool. That was this past Gen Con was just the best Gen Con I ever had. It was such a fun time to like be with the op at Gen Con with Gnome Hollow and everything. And that booth was just gorgeous. And it was just so cool to see, I don't know, the excitement for an op hobby game, like a true unlicensed hobby game.
Mm-hmm.
We've never had anything like that before. It was just really cool. So if you stopped by our booth, if you bought a copy, if you waited in this insane line for Gnome Hollow that we had Thursday, oh my God, like thank you so much. You made that like, we internally can't stop talking about how wonderful this show was and how much fun we had. So if you were any part of that, thank you so much. It was such a fun show to be at.
I'm glad to hear that, Ray. I personally, this is my favorite Gen Con that I've been to. Just everything about it just hit right, except for the very end where I got COVID. But besides that, it was wonderful. It was such a great experience. And I actually had friends that were at Comic-Con that I saw at Comic-Con the week before in San Diego. And once I saw them again at Gen Con, they all said the exact same thing. They're like, did you see the Ops booth? And this is like being at Gen Con again. I mean, at Comic-Con, because Comic-Con, everyone's got 2-story
Everyone's
booths.
up.
Yeah. So
totally.
I feel like y'all are going to start something for next year. I feel like next year we're going to see, I hope we see more 2-story booths because it was awesome.
I will say there have been some leaks from Gen Con about our next big Gen Con release. I'm not going to say anything on this stream, but if you search hard enough, you can find it. And it might give you a hint at what our next booth next year might be themed around.
An entire castle.
Yeah.
Quick chat.
Exactly. No, but for real, like
internet sleuths. Tell me the secrets.
This Gen Con was such a big success for us that I can't wait to see like what we do in future years. There's definitely been like a bar set with that booth, and it was just so cool, and it was so fun. And Cheese Dead says I rushed the op at doors open for ... which wasn't sold in the hall. I'm so sorry. I hope you found our event hall location and were able to get ... I'm so sorry. Yeah, we had 2 locations. We had to divvy things up so that the main exhibit hall location basically just sold Gnome Hollow and Stock Exchange, and then all of our smaller box party games were in a different location because it just would have been too much.
Yeah, it was like that Thursday, the first day of the con, it literally felt like a Saturday to me. It was like
Oh my
swamped.
God. It's the first year all the tickets have sold out before doors open. That's never happened before.
Amazing. Over
oh my
70,000
God.
people. It was insane. And yeah, gee, I wonder why I got COVID. But yeah.
It was a really groundbreaking Gen Con, just
it
in
really
general
was.
for the show. It was really cool.
And
I have two questions for you, Ray. One, did you sell out of Gnome Hollow? And do you know how many okay, three questions. Do you know how many copies that you brought? And then third question, what is da da da? Because I don't know if I've played it.
Okay, I can answer 2.5 of those. So we sold out Thursday. We sold out Thursday in 3 hours. We sold out.
Wow.
And so
good. I just wanted to be vindicated because I put Gnome Hollow as my #1 on my channel.
Yes.
People going to get it, and I was like, "You better get it."
Yep.
And I said it was going to be the hit, and
Yep.
I wanted to be vindicated.
You were so right. You were.
I mean, right.
I'll give like a little bit of like, I don't know, insider baseball on the whole thing. Like we've never really had a non-licensed hobby game that we have seen this much pre-launch support for. So we brought a number of copies that we were like, for us, this is a lot. This is if we sell this over the course of this weekend, like this was a massive success. That's what we brought for Thursday. And actually, you can go onto our TikTok or Instagram. I filmed a little video where I was interviewing all of the staff members of like, when do you think Gnome Hall is going to sell out? And people were guessing Saturday. Like one person guessed Friday and he was like, oh, that's pretty early. A couple people were saying Sunday, but most people were saying like, hopefully by Saturday we'll sell out. And that was, if you're wondering, that was completely genuine. Everyone, this was just what they thought when they thought it was going to sell out. And then I had to post it Thursday afternoon because we sold out in 3 hours. And what we did was we are very lucky that we have a warehouse in Indy. So we had team members driving back and forth in their sedans, bringing lots of copies. I don't know if I'm allowed to disclose how many, but it was like 3 times, 4 times the initial number that we brought, that we were driving back and forth of like, how many Gnome Hollows can you fit in your car driving back and forth Thursday night? And so we brought a whole big new wave for Friday morning, and then we sold out of those as well by Sunday afternoon. So it was that kind of, we just didn't, everyone's like, why didn't you bring more? It's like, it's unprecedented for us. We hoped it would do really well, but what a lot of attendees don't understand is it's really, really expensive to ship games back if you don't sell them. So I see a lot of attendees complaining about games selling out too quickly and like the FOMO culture of Gen Con. And I definitely sympathize with that from an attendee standpoint. Like it's so hard to get all the hot releases before they sell out. But from an exhibitor standpoint, it's a big financial risk if you bring that like pie in the sky number and then you don't sell it. That's shipping all of that back is really expensive.
Yeah,
so
shipping is so
lucky
expensive.
We have a
brutal.
We're lucky we had a warehouse in Indy, so we were able to flex. But yes. And then real quick is a party game that we released. It was like a soft launch earlier in August. And it's a game where you make your own language and then try to communicate with each other.
Oh, cool.
Love it.
It's very fun. It's some of my favorite B-roll from Gen Con is people playing and just being like, foo, boo, if, boo, like screaming at each other, trying to get them to understand what they're saying with this completely made up language. It's a very fun game to spectate. It's a lot of fun. And it falls into that category of co-op games I enjoy because there really is no good functional way to make that competitive. It's just a fun experiential game. It's definitely like, if you like the type of games I like, is up your alley.
That really sounds like a Ray game. Like everything I know about you, I'm like, that is like a fun. Top 20 Ray's games.
100%.
Hey, Jamie Dasher's in the house. Hi, Jamie.
What's up, Jamie?
Chris, and so Chris, you wrapping up the show, I believe, right? And you went through a bout of some sickness as well, right?
Oh yeah, I got COVID. That's why we canceled one of these shows.
Wow.
Is because you were too sad to do it without me.
Yeah.
I think
Definitely.
That was it.
Yeah,
they were crying so much.
Cheers.
Yeah. Half of our cast got COVID. For those of you who don't know, I'm in Nova Scotia right now doing 2 shows, Alice in Wonderland and 12th Night in the Park, and then we will finish up with an unreashed performance of Macbeth on the very last.
I wish
day.
I could see that. That sounds so awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah. Which it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I'm excited I'm buckling down and working on that right now, is to make sure that I learn all my lines because I am Macbeth. And
and some big shoes to fill.
I have 30 pages of sides that I need to learn.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
insane. Oh
So
my
for
God.
this one night only performance. But okay, I'll tell you one thing that I'm excited about conceptually for that. I'm excited that I'm going to try to have like an all white costume. I got to go to the costume trailer and figure it out. And then I want to have like I want to have 2 little buckets of blood on my belt so that I can always have them like just ready to be dipped in. And then there's the first thing that I'm going to do. It's when Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are talking and he makes a decision to kill Duncan. He says, "Away in mock time with fairest show, false face must hide what the false heart doth know." And so I want to like paint the smile on there with the blood, and then it'll slowly get bloodier and bloodier. Like he's like, I can't wash this out of my eyes, and then so it'll touch his eyes and it'll be there, and then I'll just like get like smears and stuff.
Yeah,
that's the conceptually. I think that'll be cool. I don't know. We'll see how it interacts with.
Yeah,
we'll see how it interacts with everyone else. Like I'll know my own bits, but I also know that I'm gonna play it pretty straight, which is foreign to me since I like making a joke of everything. But I'm going to leave the rest of the cast to like bring the funny and like the zaniness. We will also have a wheel of death anytime somebody has to die. We've all talked about that, and so we're going to spin the wheel of death and see how you die, which I think will be a funny thing to see, like how you die on the day. Yeah.
That's so fun.
But, yeah, that's just a little. I'm excited about it.
I wish I could see that. That is amazing. And so you're gonna wrap up the end of this month. Is that correct, Chris? And
we'll finish September 1st.
Okay,
when we're done, and then and this should be our last. Because of that, this should be our last R&R show on a Monday.
Yes.
Our next one should be Tuesday, September 3rd.
Correct.
I believe, in terms of schedule, and then like September 10th, and then we'll transition back to Tuesdays because it's really my fault when we go to Mondays. It means if it's Monday, it means Chris has a theater contract.
It's all Chris's fault, folks.
That's what it means because Monday is your day off in theater.
Yeah. So as Chris mentioned, we will be back going to our Tuesday schedules next month, folks, as he wraps up the show. But thank you again for hanging out, folks. We are gonna get started real soon here because we've got a jam-packed show. We've got Richard join us via video, and we're going to do a post show as well where we talk about the games that didn't make the official list, and Richard has thoughts on that as well, which he will go into via video there. But before we get going, why don't I make you all fight each other? Just pretend you are all let's get everyone who has an avatar, and if you don't have an avatar, you can get one by subscribing to the channel. We're going to call this one the Battle of the Youngest Siblings. Y'all are going to go at it.
Oh yeah.
And whoever wins is going to get extra points to use on their little characters. So,
and you will get eternal youth as well.
That's right. Eternal.
Wow. That is the win. And don't worry, it'll trickle in. It'll happen. Just you're good. It's gonna happen. Can I fight? Oh, go please.
Yes.
Can I fight?
Well, while they're fighting, some people in chat had commented that I was a little quiet. I moved my mic a little as close as I can, which is not much closer.
And I can give you a boost.
But before we start the recording, chat, do I need to be bumped up more? I mean, I can talk louder. Oh boy, howdy. Can I talk louder? But I don't want to.
Right. We'll do it. After this fight, we'll do a quick audio check.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's they get bonked up more. All the people who are fighting.
I don't know how to pronounce your username. There's too many vowels and I'm too dyslexic. But welcome in, I star in Maria.
That sounds pretty good.
That's a good one.
I don't think so. I think it was pretty bad. Welcome on. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us for the first time. Appreciate it. Sounds good. Okay, sweet. Thank you.
Okay.
Goblin and Billy Pratt alive, or they're just standing there. They're playing the stone statue of the.
Oh yeah, who is that? Billy Pratt.
Royale.
They're stuck. It looks like.
Yeah.
Or
honestly, you might win. You might win.
That's okay. That's funny. Barefoot Bug, Dr. Prof. Billy Pratt is just hanging out.
It's the prize of eternal youth.
Yeah,
that's what
right.
It is.
Really gets people going.
I think they're gonna win. Oh no, Feldfan just okay. Wow, Billy Pratt with a new strategy. Okay,
let's don't again. That sounds like a riddle.
Oh, do it again.
Do it again.
Sounds like some.
I was like,
some Macbeth for you.
Okay, we got then there were two, Dr. Prof and Barefoot Bug, going right at each other. They both had health packs. Let's see who's going to win this battle royale of the youngest siblings.
I think they're both going to live peacefully.
Oh, that might be, yeah, cooperatively in peace.
Yeah, cooperatively. We'll end it there. It's the co-op.
Oh, and Barefoot Bug says, no, I'm going to win. Congrats, Barefoot Bug. GG. Let's get some GGs in chat for Barefoot Bug. They did absolutely nothing to earn that victory because it's random, folks. But hey, we're going to give you GGs anyways because that's how we roll here on Rahdo Runs Through. Speaking of rolling, we're going to get rolling on the show. So I'm going to take this stuff off and we're going to put the title of the show, which is our top 12 cooperative games in 2024. That's our list today. And I'm going to cycle through the scenes real quick, folks, just to make sure we've got everything going. There's Chris. Okay, that's not it.
Yeah, that's better. That's better. Yeah.
What happened to Ray?
There's get Ray out of there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Note to self: do not press those buttons. I forgot to update my stream deck, and everything's off. So.
Yeah.
Note to self: Ruel will press those buttons at one point during the stream.
100%.
That's my
you know it's happening. Oh my gosh, you know it's gonna happen. Okay, I will cycle through the scenes using good old studio mode, so y'all don't have to see what I'm doing here.
The old-fashioned way.
Okay, that works.
It sounds like it all works, right?
Okay, we're good to go. Right? I hope. Okay. Ray, Chris, are we oh, you know what? We should check audio check. So
I think we're good. I think chat
people
said
are saying I sounded better.
Everything's good? Okay. Chat, just to verify, please.
If people are...
If y'all can hear us.
Top test 1, 2. Raw, I hate co-op games. Raw, shakes fist.
Yay.
I hate them.
Yay.
I don't want to be here.
Sound is okay. All right, cool.
Self-destruction sequence initiated. Yeah, Bloody Lion, I agree. If Ray's not here, I leave too.
Everyone's just gonna leave. Okay, sound is okay. Thank you, Bloody Lion. Okay, so we're gonna do the intro. I've got a video. It's about 1.5 minutes. Richard's gonna do the intro and then come to us, and then we'll get going. All right, here we go. And I'm not gonna press those buttons. Let me go over here and click on this.
Do it.
All right, here we go.
Hey everybody, this week's Roundup is brought to you by Arcane Wonders and their new tile-laying game, Foundations of Metropolis. And I suspect a lot of people are going to be very excited about this, because a few years ago, Arcane Wonders published a very big hit game, Foundations of Rome. And it was known both for its beautiful, elegant, simplistic, and yet incredibly deep gameplay, and also for its lavish, incredibly expensive production, where every single tile you build as you're laying the foundations of Rome was actually a gorgeous little miniature. Well, that proved to be a little bit too expensive for most folks, and so now Arcane Wonders is transplanting the same brilliant gameplay from ancient Rome and putting it in our own modern day as we are building up modern metropolises. And I gotta say, folks, I can totally see the reason that this game got so much praise and made so many top 10 of the year lists when it was originally published as Foundations of Rome, because it's so smooth, it's so silky. You just buy up plots of land, trying to make sure you can get the right stuff at the right time so that you can build your buildings and score lots of points. And it almost has a classic feel, like a Ticket to Ride or an early Reiner Knizia game. And I know that means my good buddy Ruel is going to love it. And in fact, folks, if you'd like to see this in action, there's going to be a link down in the show notes to watch Ruel do a run-through of this game. Anyway, it's finally available, folks, for those who have been waiting years to get a chance to play designer Emerson Matsuuchi's masterpiece. You might want to check out Foundations of Metropolis. Information is down in the show notes, and now let's get on with the show.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to the R&R Show. This is episode 96. We're going to be talking about our top 12 cooperative games in 2024. And as I say that, I just realized not 12. We're going to do 10 today because
we're going to do 10.
Get out of the habit.
We're changing the format a little bit of the show, where we are going to. Oops! And I just gave away the number one. The number 10.
No, that's a red herring. I'll
That is a
change it on
red
the
hair.
fly, Raul. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Yeah, while Raul does that, we are doing the top 10 co-op games. And I'm excited about this change of format. Generally, it's the three of us, and then Richard interjects and gives his sort of number 8, number 4, number 1, or whatever they are, 9, 5, and 1. But this time we said, Richard, get out of here. We don't watch anymore. Well, 10 is just a nice solid number. So we're going to do the first 9, the three of us. We're going to go back and forth and do the first 9. And then Richard's going to pop in and give the honorary number 1 best co-op game of all time. And then also, if you click down below, there is an extended version of this show where you can see more picks. So Richard will probably share his full list there. We will give our honorable mentions. And that's how the show is going to proceed. But before we do that, I do want to fill in on our sponsor because I am super friggin' excited that Foundations of Metropolis exists. I would like to crown myself the king of cheap. And so getting something that usually it goes the other way around. You know, usually it is like, oh, something is basic and then it gets deluxified. I see that in like anniversary editions. I love that Arcane Wonders has taken this game and has pulled it down for the cheapies like me, but has also kept the one thing that they did keep were those player trays that I saw in that preview. And I was very excited because that also means that you're getting like a budget version with still ease of setup. Two of my favorite things. And so I'm just like, friggin' thrilled that this existed. Foundation Metropolis, it was on my like things to look at for Gen Con list, and I'm just so excited that I can just be excited about them for sponsoring the show. So thanks, Arcane Wonders, and great job. Keep up the good work.
Yes. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, folks, be sure to click on the link below. You can see me and my buddy Daryl play through an entire game, Foundation Metropolis. And spoiler alert, we really enjoyed the game. So check that out. And it's been a while since we've done the R&R show. As you can tell, I'm pressing all kinds of buttons that don't do anything correctly. But we're excited to be here with you. Ray and I saw each other at Gen Con. We talked about some of the experiences we had there during the pre-show. So be sure to click on that extended edition. Ray and Chris, are we ready to jump into things here for the cooperative games list?
Yeah.
If you missed the pre-show, I complained and moaned a bunch about how I don't like co-op games. So I'm here under duress, but I will do my best.
Nice.
Yeah, you really should check out the extended edition because we spent most of it. Sometimes we spend it doing fun nonsense, which you should do and hang out with us. But today we were actually on topic, so there's more co-op conversations about co-op, solo games, and trauma.
That's right.
Trauma. We had a little mini Chris therapist session.
It was great. The therapy
was a delight.
Yeah, I thought the therapy was great, folks. So be sure to check out that extended edition. Chris, why don't we kick things off with number 10, and that's going to be your choice, my friend.
I'm ready for number 10.
All right.
I'm going to think about it. I'm going to pull it from the air. Nobody's heard about this before. No one's seen it yet on the screen. It's Pandemic Legacy. Season 1.
What?
Honestly, I'm glad that you put it up there because I forgot what order I put these in. So it was just beneficial for me.
Folks.
Really, Pandemic Legacy Season 1, 2015, number 2 on Board Game Geek. You have heard about this game numerous times. You've heard Pandemic sort of pioneered the genre in terms of the co-op games, and I think Pandemic Legacy is the ultimate version of that system. It is one of the best experiences I've had in board gaming, and I still haven't finished the campaign, and it is still so high up for me because the pandemic happened when we were playing it, and then like most groups in the pandemic, we didn't get back together, but we will get back together. We've been actively like trying to find time, but we're all like just busy with different schedules. We're all actors, so we all travel a lot, and so like a lot of contracts have been in juxtaposition with each other. But Pandemic Legacy is just a phenomenal experience. I would recommend it to anyone who enjoys co-op games. If you like the base Pandemic, you owe it to yourself to play this game. If you have always wanted to try a legacy game, this is the legacy game that made everybody go crazy for legacy games and campaign games. Like, this game is so instrumental in terms of what its ripple effect it's had on the industry. And there's a good reason for that, because it just knocked it out of the park. It just blew it out of the water. It's so cool how the game evolves and how every time you get an outbreak in a city, that city becomes a little bit more chaotic. It becomes a little bit more rioting. They are mad that things are outbreaking in their city, and they are responding to it, and then it becomes harder to do things down the line. There are like really lasting ramifications in this legacy aspect, and it's just incredible. So I put it up on as number 3, not as my number 1, because I think there are so many things about this system that I enjoy, that it's not just the cooperative aspect that I enjoy. I try to rank things based upon how much I enjoy the like specific co-op nature, how much I enjoy working together with someone. That kind of defined my list, but it still earns its spot just because of everything that's going on with it. And it's so fun to go on the experience with other people as well. Honestly, I should probably switch this and the other one that I'm putting higher up, but I didn't. So we're starting off with a bang. That's Pandemic Legacy Season 1.
Nice. Yeah, I know. Yeah, go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Ruel.
Oh, I'll go ahead. I know Richard loves this one. It might be his number 1 on his personal list. Me, I loved it as well. This was the game that really showed me like you could have this almost like a limited series, mini series, like something on like HBO done in board game form, because that's what this was, right? You played the campaign, and the narrative was really strong. And there's, again, if you haven't played it, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's this one point in this game and my like jaw literally dropped, like what just happened here? And it was amazing. And I still, I get goosebumps thinking about it. It was such a great narrative and story arc. Having said that, I did the same thing, Chris, where I got about 7 games in and our group fell apart. And it wasn't because of the pandemic. It was just my stepdaughter was in our group and she went off to college, and, we were only going to play when she came back, and she came back, but then she didn't always want to play games, which is cool. I'm not going to force her to play games. So we finished it like I think 2 years later, and it was still fine, but at the same time, if you wait that long, then it's like you forget all the rules that had changed and stuff. And so we completed it, but it sort of fizzled out. However, those first 7 games were absolutely amazing, and I would highly recommend this experience for anyone.
Oh man, now I want to play it. It's like
you haven't played it?
It's one of those games that no, I've not played it. I've not played it.
Yeah, you good. You have to.
Yeah,
I struggle with campaign games. I've moved a lot over the last few years, and it's just I'm someone who will get like really torn up if I invest in something and we don't finish it. It's I will like thinking about that in terms of like D&D games and stuff. Like if a D&D game like doesn't, if we don't conclude, if like things fall apart, I get very. It like hurts me emotionally, like in a way that's not fun. Not to get too deep with it, but that's why I've never played this game before. But I do think one of the comments you made, Chris, about how this pioneered a genre of legacy games, this really did. I can definitely comment to the legacy game craze that happened after this, and it's really cool that the same IP did that twice. So like original Pandemic pioneered the concept of co-op games. It popularized the concept of co-op games, and it's really cool that Pandemic Legacy it obviously wasn't the first legacy game, but it was the one that brought it into like the mainstream, which I think is super cool.
Yeah, totally.
For sure. It's so good that like I still haven't finished season 1, but I went out and I bought season 2. It's in Shrink, and I saw season 0 on Facebook like literally 4 months ago. I said this will go perfectly beside my unfinished copy of season 1 and my non-open copy of season 2. But it is that good that I know I'm going to get to it eventually, and I think it would be a great thing to do with 2 people, because I know like just a pairing, because I think like that. I think it would scale well. You don't need a full 4. And I think having like a large group of people makes the chances of finishing it less. So, but even just doing it with 2 people, and if you're good, I
didn't know that was a viable. I didn't know. I've only ever heard of people playing in big groups. So.
Oh no, 2 people. It's 2 to 4. And what's good is if you're really good at the game, Ray. Not that you're competitive or anything, but if you're really good, it'll only take you 12 games to complete. Once a month. It can take you up to 24 to get 2 shots in a month, but if you win on the first attempt each month, you just move on in the story. So
I see.
I mean, we did win the first 4 months. So I'm just throwing down the gauntlet. You got to win 5 in a row if you want to beat.
All right, that's what I need to incentivize me to play these types of games. Is I need a PR to beat. I need something.
There you go. Nice, great choice, Chris. Number 10, Pandemic Legacy Season 1. Let's move on to number 9. And Ray, I believe this one is yours.
This is mine. So my number 9, I hinted to it a little bit in the pre-show that one of my games on this list is a real-time game, and that game is Kites.
Nice.
This game is a real-time sand timer flipping game, and that's it. And I love it. That time for number 8. That's it. You flip sand timers in real time. Bada bing. That's all it is. This is one of those games that probably someone's gonna be like, "That's not a board game," and I'm telling you directly, I don't care. I don't care. I love this game. Bada bing, bada boom. That's it. You got yourself a board game. No, this is a real-time sand timer flipping game. Basically, it's a hand shedding game. You've got a handful of kites that are various colors. They correspond to colored sand timers on the table. So if you've got a hand, you might have like a purple kite and a yellow kite and maybe a kite that's got 2 oranges or something. And you go around the table in real time, playing one card at a time and flipping the corresponding sand timer. The different sand timers go at different speeds. And your goal is that these sand timers are representing kites that are up in the air, and you're trying to always keep them in the air and never let them touch the ground. And you're trying to do that quickly and chaotically, and it has a really fun element of communication where it's like, well, the orange kite really needs to be flipped, but I don't have any oranges, so I'm just going to play this so that it can get to you because you do have an orange kite. It's just chaotic and ridiculous. We mentioned this again in the pre-show. I'm not big into co-op games, but a through line that I do really enjoy is when there's an interesting communication barrier, and just the real-time chaos of this game is great for that. I love that. I also love that you're fighting against, again, the thing with me in co-op games is I don't like feeling like I'm fighting nothing, like I'm just fighting the rule book. I don't enjoy that particularly. In this, I love that time is real, and the sand timers are going, and there's nothing you could do about it. You just have to play fast, and it's so short and chaotic and fun that I forget that there's no competition. You're just trying to beat the clock. I like these kind of short, small experimental games when it comes to co-op games. So yeah, my only kind of critique on this list, and the only reason why it's lower than my other ones, is I'm not a big fan of the challenge cards that are included. I think they tried to like add in some more gamey elements to it. I play with them sometimes, but I really just like this at its base form of just, it's a real-time hand shedding game. I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, great choice, Ray. I agree with you. I just give me the base, and it's I don't know what it is. Even though it's a cooperative game, I get the sweats like it's a competitive game, right?
I love that feeling, though. It really does get. It's so simple.
The sweats.
And
the sweats.
It's so simple. Yeah, I love the sweats. I love that it makes me. Again, my issue with co-op games is, I don't know, they don't make me feel something. There's not the highs and lows of competition, and adding in a real-time element is enough for me to get that emotional, feeling. So yeah, I love this game. It's super simple. It's one of those things where you're like, well, how hasn't someone already done this? But they were the first to do it, and I think it's really fun.
Agreed.
Well, there's no harder competitor than time itself.
Truly, I need something like that to fight against to really get me in the mood for a co-op game.
Nice,
so, yeah.
Such a good game. Great choice. That's number 9, Kites. We're gonna move on to number 8, which is my choice. And for mine, I took a game that I've talked about several times on the show and here on the R&R Show. It's number 8, Paperback. This is a word-based game. I've always called it Dominion meets Scrabble. This, I'm showing the 10th anniversary edition, which just came out recently, and there is a solo mode here that they include, but it's also, you can play it cooperative as well. And basically what you're trying to do is spell words in order to take off the victory points, which are on the left side of the screen there, and you're trying to grab all of those. They're worth different victory points. They require different amount of money or as you generate income, just like any deck builder. But the cool thing about this version is you have different abilities that you can use. You can trigger, and then like the AI that you're playing against also has abilities. So it's really, really good. I highly recommend this. I'm not going to spend too long talking about it because I've talked about it plenty on this show. I just think Paperback is an awesome word game. Probably my favorite word game of all time. And when it comes to cooperative play, this does it really, really well. Especially if like one player, sometimes you find this in word games where one player may be a little, I don't know, have a better vocabulary or whatever. I think that this evens it out because of the type of gameplay it has. And that's why I chose it for our collective number 8, Paperback.
Nice. Yeah, I still haven't played it. I would love it. I love word games. I love deck building.
This is your jam, Chris.
Paperback
seriously.
is great.
Yeah.
I've only ever played it competitively. I'm shocked,
Yeah.
but I like it in competitive form.
Yeah,
So
I do
if you
too.
like co-op games,
Yeah.
it sounds like the core gameplay loop translates really well to a
It does.
co-op game. So
Yep.
yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. Okay, let's move on now to our number 7, which we're going to go back to Chris this time for number 7.
Number 7 is also a classic. It's well regarded by a ton of people. It's very high up on Board Game Geek. I want to say number 14. That's my bet. I'm going to check it while I say it. It's Spirit Island. Spirit
Nice.
Island is the game, which on BGG is
I'm just
number
kind
11.
of bummed that you actually listed a highly
11.
regarded game. I really wanted you to pull out like a Yum Yum Island or something. Like, this is a classic.
Wrong
so
island,
highly
Chris.
regarded.
Yeah, you
I
know.
I was really hoping for a bait and switch.
That is a much better joke, and I would like to change it.
Yes.
To
actually, the actual classic, highly regarded game, Spirit Island. Yes.
Magic Maze. That's no. I was looking at my list is very like vanilla, but there's a reason why it's up there, right? Like Spirit Island is the reason I like this Spirit Island is because it's a weird one to put on a top list for co-ops because you don't really interact with the people that you're playing with. And what I mean by that is there's too much going on. Like, I really like to describe my moves when I play co-op games, and I like to say, what did you do? What did you do? And Spirit Island to me feels a bit more like a trust fall because I say, I can't think about whatever you're doing. I'm going to play this, and I've got this land covered. I got this land covered. Do something to deal with those lands. And they say, yep. And then we go back and we put our heads down. And so, like, arguably in terms of the co-op nature, this should maybe fall a little bit further down on my list because if I'm rating them based upon how much I enjoy the co-op experience. But there's something nice about having a meaty puzzle to share with a friend, and the one that is so meaty that you cannot have an alpha player, right? That, or if you do, then it becomes an excruciating 7-hour experience, and then you realize that you never want that person in your life again. So, like, really a win-win for both things that are coming out. But yeah, there's just the loop of Spirit Island, the asymmetry of the factions, everything contributes to you working together in a tense way, but never stepping on each other's toes. But then when you get synergized, it feels really good. You're like, man, oh, this seems overwhelming. I can only deal with this. And then your partner comes in. I almost said opponent comes in and just like sweeps the other ones across the board. That feels really satisfying. I think that's why I ended up putting it this high on my list. Just because of that experience. But yeah, Spirit Island is great, super crunchy. It's just dealing with area that is expanding. It's very pandemic-like in terms of there are problem spots on the board that you then have to deal with. And so dealing with those things and wiping them away, I find very fun and exciting. And I'm always excited to get this back to the table.
Yeah, I love how you described it, Chris. I feel like it should be on the box now. Spirit Island is the trust fall of board games. I think it's, yeah.
No,
right?
the tagline I like better is a meaty puzzle to share with friends.
Oh,
that's my favorite.
Yeah, you're right.
because
that
I
needs
will
to be a game by itself. That like a meaty puzzle to share with friends, and it's like literally a meat puzzle. I can't get that image out of my head now.
Well, you know, we were talking about the sweats earlier. There you get the meat sweats.
The meat sweats.
Go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, that's totally gonna live in my brain for the rest of the day. Great choice, Chris. That's number 7, Spirit Island. And let's move on to number 6. Ray, what do you got for us?
Oh God, it's back to me already.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm used to like making some coffee while Richard talks.
I know, but we bullied him out of the building.
Exactly.
No wonder Richard likes co-op
Speaking
games.
of bullying earlier. Yeah, okay. So my next one, kind of keeping the theme of not what you would call like traditional board games by any stretch of the imagination. My number 6, or our number 6, is Micro Macro Crime City, which is basically Where's Waldo, the movie, the game. I love this game so very much. It is basically one giant map. That's it. And you are given varying sets of mysteries that you have to solve. Like, for example, what happened to Hat Man? And you are going to find where Hat Man started his day. And so the map is basically various kind of snapshots of a day throughout time. So you'll be able to find Hat Man here and watch him go and get groceries or whatever. And then they'll give you leading questions as you work through the case. Like the next thing is like, why does Hatman hate his wife? And you have to follow him throughout his day to find out why Hatman hates his wife.
I know.
And ultimately,
talk about trauma.
Yeah, right. This game does have a couple of moments that are kind of dark, so I wouldn't recommend it for kids necessarily. I mean, it is called Micro Macro Crime City, so there are various types of crimes that you are solving.
I've had neighbors play it with their kids though. I think because of the weird Waldo aspect. But
I mean, I don't have kids. I don't want to be responsible. You do what you want to do. I just had to say that, but there's crime involved. But yeah, they're really fun, and a lot of the mini questions that you're solving throughout the case are kind of like up to interpretation. Like, why does Hatman hate his wife? You have to go find like where they're arguing in the street, and then you have to follow the wife. Like, oh, you find out that the wife is cheating, and it's a really fun story that comes together. It involves you and however many friends squinting over this giant map. And like, yes, you could play it solo, but it's so fun to play with other people and have one person follow Hatman and one person follow Hatman's wife and be like, she's sleeping with the baker. And then it's this whole thing. And it's such a big map that it genuinely takes you a really long time to do it yourself. It's really, I find it's a much more enjoyable experience with multiple sets of eyes on the map. And then it ultimately will bring you to a final conclusion of like, what happened to Hatman? And it's like maybe his wife shot him or whatever. I don't know.
Wow.
Hypothetically.
There was a gun under the baker's hat the whole time.
The whole time. And it's so they're always fun.
Murdered by Hat.
Murdered by Hat. So yeah, that's Micro Macro Crime City. I believe this won the Spiel a few years ago, and there's been more versions of it since. I haven't played Full House or any of the other ones. But the original game, it was just, it won the Spiel for a reason. It was so unique and different. And it really is, again, it's an experience less so than a board game. But if it wins the Spiel, then I count it as a board game enough. So yeah,
that's a board game.
It's
a board game.
It's definitely a game. Yeah. This is a great call, Ray. I really enjoyed this. What Michelle and I did for our game, we literally just took the Micro Macro map and taped it to the wall in our hallway. So we would just
Totally.
look there, use a little magnifying glass and just whenever we're passing through the hall, oh, did you see this or that? So I really enjoyed it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I can see why it won the Spiel. It's very accessible, and but you're right about there are some dark moments on that map. So yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I guess it depends on
proceed with caution. I mean, they flag them, right? They're flagged as like adult content or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be responsible for what anyone
exactly.
does.
I want to read the book. Why does Hatman hate his wife? That's what I'm still focused. I want to see the diary entries. I really, I need to know everything about Hatman. The twists and the turns. What happened? Why did she shoot him? Well, it's who knows? How many hats did he have? Did his parents
to
know
come up with
they
a name
were
like
setting him up?
Hatman?
For a lifetime of being, drawn to hats. I have so many questions.
How
about
many hats do you think you'd need to have to gain
be called
the nickname
Hatman?
Hatman, yeah.
Or
over at least 50.
Over 50? All right.
Over 50.
Yeah.
Tell us in the comments.
Yeah,
How many hats you need
Yeah.
to be deemed Hatman?
And please give us your best Hatman fan fiction. Please.
Yeah.
Please.
We want to see those
Please,
in the comments,
please.
folks. Click
you
on
tell
there.
us, why did Hatman hate his wife?
Yeah. And it's up to you. Like, maybe your story will be in the next Micro Macro
There you go.
That would be
expansion.
cool.
We never know what we could happen. Hashtag justice for Hatman. That's what we need. Hashtag justice for Hatman.
Oh, I love it.
If you are playing Micro Macro, though, I saw this on Board Game Geeks, like game night. They had these little translucent tokens, and those I've played with. And so they're different colors. And so you can place them out on the board, and it's like you're following Hatman gets the green, and then you have like an orange for Hatman's wife. In their consensual non-monogamous relationship. That's the spoiler alert. Then why? That's the red herring. That's the red herring.
Oh no.
Who knows why now? We don't know. But I really, really like that. Really elevated my experience of playing Micro Macro, and I would never play without those because it's just so fun. Like you lose track of it going back, and so that way you can just like really relive the story as you're going through.
That's genius.
That is
when
great.
I get the expansions, I'll have to play with
Mm.
that.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that.
Yeah, that's genius. But yeah, there's not much more to say about this. This is just a really fun activity. If you like kind of more experiential board games like me, this is a must play. It's super easy, super simple. You can play with all ages. You can play with a ton of people too. Again, it really doesn't have it's as many people as you can fit around a table can be involved in it and enjoy. I just like looking at it too. Like it's just fun to just parse it and scan it. It's really fun. And one of my favorite things is that you have these mysteries that you're trying to solve, right? Like, so Hatman will have a continuous story from when he exits his apartment to when he gets shot by his wife. But also everyone else in this town, there's so much thought put into it. Every character, you can follow them from start to finish in their day, even if they are never relevant for any of the stories. I just love it's just like it's fictional people watching. It's very fun.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
Highly recommend.
That's why we loved having it on the wall for as long as we did. Just just walking through, going to the bathroom or going wherever. It's like, oh, look at this, and just sort of get lost in it. It's really fun.
Totally.
So great choice, Ray. Number 6, a micro macro. Let's move on to number 5. This is my choice. I'm all about the cult of the new here, folks, for this list. And for our number 5, our collective number 5, this has been one of my favorite games of this year. It's a game called Landmarks from Floodgate Games. This is absolutely wonderful. It's sort of like Codenames, where you have a single word clues and you're trying to, in this case, guide your fellow adventurers off an island that has traps, curses, and treasures and one exit. So just like in Codenames, I'm giving a one-word clue, and it's up to you all as adventurers to figure out where is this clue supposed to go. If I give you the word, cookie, is it going to go next to lunch or dessert, or is it going to go next to a baker or Hatman or whatever? Actually, it's just one word clue, so Hatman wouldn't be there unless Hatman's one word. But anyways,
Hatman's one word.
Oh, Hatman is one word. Okay, so would you put the cookie
sure.
next to Hatman, or would you put I don't know, adultery? Apparently would be next to Hatman. But you have a limited number of clues because that represents your water supply. So you have 7 tiles, and if you're starting to run out of tiles, I need to direct you over to where the water is. And again, just like in Codenames, I'm the only one that knows where all the stuff is, and it's up to me to give you the perfect clues to guide you around the island. And hey, if you hit a curse, then darn it, you can't leave the island until I get you to find the amulet, which will cure the curse. It's a wonderful game. I just explained it in like less than a minute, and the game takes maybe 15 minutes to play. I played this at least a dozen times since it came out earlier, or actually, I don't even know if it's out yet. Technically, it
came out at Gen Con.
At Gen Con, right? And then
it was
I think
available at Gen Con.
It's available at Gen Con. Full release should be
release,
in September, I believe. But
yeah,
it's been a hit with everyone I played with it. I played it at 2 players, 3 players, 4 players, and it works wonderfully. There is actually a team mode where you can play competitively, Ray. But it is
nobody's talking about that.
Yeah, there are 2. You can play as 2 teams, and you're trying to race off the island. I find it the cooperative play is fantastic, just like Codenames.
You just really sit right up in your seat.
Yeah, Ray's all excited.
No, because literally, I watched this. I watched the coverage of this game leading up to Gen Con. I was like, man, this sounds great. I'm bummed that it's only cooperative. Maybe I just can't read, and I didn't see the team-based option. Yeah, that's awesome.
It is.
That's so exciting.
It's
oh my god.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so good. And like you start with the green cards, which are like the basic game cards. I think those are a really good challenge. Those red cards that they have, I think it's red, or is it? I don't know if it's yellow or orange. I forget which one, but the more difficult ones are freaking impossible. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how people do this. It's like you're literally surrounded by traps everywhere. But then there is that cooperative gameplay or competitive gameplay where 2 teams face off against each other and try to make it off the island. I think this is an awesome game. I've loved it for the last few months, and I don't see it going away, honestly. I think it's going to be a mainstay in my collection. That's why I selected it for our number 5, Landmarks.
Oh, I'm so glad you picked this game. I genuinely did not know about the team-based mode. That is how I will now be getting this game, and that's how I'll be playing. Because what I was really excited about this, because it seemed like a better implementation of Mystic Paths. I don't know if anyone's played that. It was it's a similar concept, but this seems just like more interesting. It did a similar thing, right? Where you're doing hexagon paths, and there are everything's like a single word, and you're trying to give clues. It's very similar to this, but it never really took off. And I've played it a few times, didn't really hit for whatever reason. This just feels like it's a little bit more gamey, a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm pumped there's a team mode. Not to spoil this co-op list that we're talking about, but I'm genuinely very excited to learn that.
Yeah, definitely give that one a shot, Ray. I think you'd dig it. I mean, the gameplay is just so strong.
It hits that code. It looks like it does hit that code name's itch, but just in a new
yeah
pattern or in a new package, and it doesn't have the same paralysis, and Codenames can be kind of a slower game and less visually interesting, and it just looks like it does a lot that you're missing if Codenames is your only like word game in your collection.
Some people use the term, I don't really like to use the term game kills another game, but a lot of people I've heard they said it's a Codenames killer. I'm like, you know what, I may agree with that, but
that's cool.
I need to play it some more. I really love this one, but let's move on to our number 4 game, and it's back to Chris for number 4 on our cooperative games list.
All right, I'm very excited about this game because this one could have the tagline "Trust Fall the board game." I feel like this is more. This is more of a Trust Fall the board game than Spirit Island is, for sure. So, Spirit Island's just earning that meaty, sweaty time with some pals.
Meat puzzle to share with your friends.
Yeah. The slap each other with bologna all evening with some friends.
Whoa!
And with some sweaty meat, right? The meat sweats, the sweats. A nice meaty puzzle. No, that's not this one. This one is an old standby in my collection. I was thinking about.
I gotta go. I have somewhere else to be. I don't.
Jeez. I was thinking about how what was the most funny string of words that I could string together about meat, and bologna had to be in there. And then I figured, I'm like, I'll just wing it.
Of course.
But this one came out in 2010. We're going down the Board Game Geek. It's 539 on Board Game Geek right now, but it is number 1 in my heart. And this is a fantastic game at all player counts as well. Plays 2 to 5 players. And that is the simple. You will like this game, Ray, because it deals with communication restrictions.
Love it.
It's Hanabi. I don't know if you like Hanabi, but I'm just going to take a guess that you like Hanabi. Hanabi is the best. It's my favorite co-op game of all time, again because of the co-op nature and what it causes the group to do, right? What it causes the group to feel, how it causes the group to interact with each other because of that limited communication. Hanabi's just fantastic. I've played this so much. It changes so much too at 2 players to 5 players. You're just building this hand of these fireworks by playing cards 1 to 5 in a specific color, but you can't see your hand, so you have to hint to your teammate, and you only have a limited number of hints. So that's why it is the Trust Fall the board game, because you are reaching out and you are saying, hey, I'm giving you this very specific clue, and then it's on my turn. I'm like, well, I just have to assume they meant this. Do they mean me to play it? Do they mean me to discard it? Am I supposed to save it for later? I don't know, but I'm gonna take a leap. I'm gonna take a leap of faith, and then when you get that communication working with each other, it feels so good. I also love Hanabi. I played this when I was at KublaCon. I played this with a complete stranger, and he had Hanabi, and he was just sitting around. I was waiting for like an event to start, and he was also around. He's like, oh, you want to play a quick game? I was like, yeah, I just have to go do this thing, but like I play. He's like, well, do you know Hanabi? I was like, I know Hanabi. He's like, oh, I know Hanabi. And we were both like, we are very confident with Hanabi. And then we played a 2-player game, and we crashed and burned. It was horrible. We did so poorly. And I loved that about it, because we were both so confident in how we played and how like that co-op and how that communication had been developed with other partners. But then going with people who didn't have that shared language, we really crashed and burned. And I was like, this is so exciting to me, and so like representative of how it can shape a group. And yeah, I just think it's a really awesome cooperative experience, bringing people together. And every group you get will think a little bit differently, will prioritize things a little bit differently, will have thought through their own metas a little bit differently. I mean, my meta is correct, but I'm never going to tell you what that is, because that would break the game. But yeah, it's just a really, really solid game, and I think it's great. It's my number 1. It's our number 4.
Yeah,
because I am the worst out of this group of 4, so I get number 4.
I love Hanabi. It's been a while since I played this, but I remember it being early on in my board gaming journey, where I was started to see all the other cooperative games that were not pandemic, and it was so fresh and like, wow, this is really interesting. Like, I can't see my cards. Well, this is so weird to me. Again, as a poker player, I'm like, I need to see my cards, but then now I've got to rely on other people. It's a fantastic game. There's a reason why it's still being published to this day. It's evergreen title, right? But
absolutely.
Yeah. Limited communication though, Ray, that's your jam, right?
Yes. So I think Hanabi's been on one of these lists before, and I think I've mentioned I've never played Hanabi, and that is explicitly the fault of the Brothers Murph,
Really?
who talk about how they've broken it because they like have like a language that they use, and for whatever reason that got in my head of like, oh, the game is solvable. I can't not to call him out, but it is absolutely up my alley. That Nick and Mike got in my head of like, oh well, apparently you can really, I can't remember which one, but one of them loves it and one of them's like, it's broken, you can just like memorize like kind of a language, which is like cool in its own way, but if that's not like what the game is trying to do, if you're not supposed to kind of do that, then that got in my head. But the more I've heard, because Chris has talked about it before, the more I hear Chris talk about it, and it's like if you approach it with this mindset of like, we're not going to like establish a set.
No,
I'm not going to tell you my meta.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's stupid. It's like, well, what's the point of holding your cards so you can't see them?
It's not like explicitly doing it, but like if you play with the same person enough, it eventually like.
But that I think is part of the I think that's part of the
Right.
enjoyment is you develop that language and you find out together like what are the ways that you can become efficient, right? Like what are the ways at which like you're cluing back and forth can reach that peak efficiency that you need when you incorporate like the wild cards and the different colors. Because as you go up, there's cards that appear as every color. And so if I'm like, that's blue and that's blue, you're like, okay, that's blue. And then I'm like, that's red. And I'm like, well, you just said it was blue.
Yeah,
Nice.
totally.
Cool.
No, I definitely want to try it at some point.
Yeah. Cool. That was number 4, Hanabi. Great choice. Let's move on to number 3, and we're going back to Ray.
So, oh my goodness. All right, bam, blam. So my next one is a game I've talked about before, I think a couple times. So I will not bore you all by talking about it for too long, but this is a passive-aggressive game of cohabitation called Decorum, and I love it. I've talked about how it's like my favorite co-op game, I think, before at some other point. I adore this game. The real quick rundown of it is you are you and however many people you're playing with, I believe it's 2 to 4, are various types of cohabitators. So you might be a couple, you might be roommates, you might be bandmates, and you're trying to decorate your communal spaces in a way that makes you all happy, but in classic cohabitating style, you can't directly tell the other person what you want. The only thing you can do is passively aggressively communicate. So for example, let's say my character absolutely hates blue paintings that are on the second floor. I don't like no blue paintings on the second floor, and the kitchen has to be painted green. Some combination of elements like that. And every round, each person's going to change something in the house. So they might add a blue painting. They might paint a wall. They might remove a lamp. They might swap out like a decoration of some kind, right? And all I can do in response to that is to go, oh, I love that. That's great. Or, I don't really care. Or that is the worst thing you've ever brought into this house. How dare you? You can't say why, but it's this fun deduction puzzle of you're trying to figure out what the other person's preferences are. What's the pattern of things that the other person hates? And it's just really fun. It's limited communication. It's a really unique puzzle that changes a lot depending on who you're playing with, because it's not a role-playing game, but they do give you like a little bit of story to latch onto. So I do think it's kind of fun to get in the spirit of like cohabitating and play up these characters a little bit. And you can get really fun and creative with how you insult someone's choices and stuff. I just think it has a sliver of creativity to it in that regard that I find really fun. And the limited communication is great. Yeah. And I've talked about this game a lot. I think it's fun if you like deduction games. I tend to not like, weirdly, I don't tend to love competitive deduction games. I don't like the just who can do the puzzle faster and better. Mm-hmm. If it's like a puzzle where there's a right answer and like a true deduction style.
Like
and so
cooperative. Have you played Cryptid?
I didn't love it. I don't like the search for Planet X, that kind of stuff where there's like a solution and everyone's just trying to get to it faster. There are some exceptions to that rule. Like I like Alchemists and stuff, but I really like it in the cooperative format with that limited communication, a tiny tinge of role playing. Yeah, that's Decorum.
I love that you pointed out the whole role playing thing, because I've played this game several times, and every single time it's always involves some type of role playing. And these are
just like a little bit,
right, very light role playing. Especially, it's really neat to see people who don't really play role playing games totally get into it, and just the whole. Oh, it's always so funny, the whole passive aggressiveness of it. It's hilarious.
It's very well themed.
It really
say.
is.
Another problem with like
kiss.
deduction games is I'm like, oh, I'm just sitting here, I'm solving a puzzle that like there's something about the theme of this, how it ties into the like everyone's had a roommate where you don't feel like you can directly tell them what you like. It's such a well integrated theme.
Totally.
It's got a really clean art style, and
but at least you can tell that roommate, oh, I hate your stinking guts for bringing that in my life.
At least, thank God you have that.
What I think is really cool about just your picks in particular, Ray, is that you do have like some internal crossover, since, as we know, if we look at Micro Macro, you can see in Hatman's house, there is a box of decorum, and that might be why the wife ended up shooting. Or it could be a red herring. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. Could be a red herring.
Absolutely.
Oh, nice one, Chris. All right, so that's our number 3, decorum. Let's move on to our final 2 picks. I've got number 2. This is our group number 2. This is another recent game that I absolutely fell in love with. It is a game called Sky Team. I think this game is absolutely brilliant. This is a cooperative 2-player game where you're flying a plane, and you're doing it through dice placement. You roll your dice secretly, and then you're going to place them one at a time on the different parts of your control panel. Hopefully that, you have enough speed, the landing gear is down, your flaps are down, and or flaps are up, I forget. And hopefully you're not going to crash into other planes because you've called in the radio tower. I love everything about this. The theme is perfect. Once again, the limited communication is perfect. And I've had so much fun with this. And fun fact, folks, you can actually play the solo. There's a solo variant that someone came up with on BGG. It's super easy. So you can fly the friendly skies by yourself, or like when you fly Gaviola Airlines, you can crash by yourself. Because I've crashed this game so many times on so many different levels, and yet I keep coming back. It's not easy, right? It's a challenge, and I love that about this. But the gameplay is so smooth, and I think it's fantastic. That's why it's our collective number 2, Sky Team.
I can say this is truly a collective number 2. This was on my list too. I think this was originally like my number 3 or something, and you probably ranked it higher. This game is fantastic. It's a great. This is such an obvious. I think someone in chat early on was like, "Oh, Sky Team has to be on here." It's so in the current. It's so in the current discourse with the spiel. The spiel win actually, which is incredible. It's just. I also see this going on to be a classic and an evergreen. It's that limited communication. I watched the board game ramblings, or who was it? I watched someone who was just like, this is the most passive aggressive dice communication. They described it like that, and I was like, yes, you're like, I'm gonna put this 2 here, and I'm gonna really hope you know what I mean when I put this 2 here.
Right.
That communication element is why I give this the co-op. The patented Ray co-op pass of like you're okay, you can stay. You've got silly communication problems. You can stay.
And like the other games that have passed your test, Ray, this also gives me the meat sweats, right? Like it's like, come on, we got to land this plane. We're so close. And why did you put that 4 there? You needed to put your 1, whatever. But it's really tense, and it really does. I think it does a wonderful job of integrating theme and mechanics, right? I mean, it's just dice placement, but you have their little control panel of the plane. Every single thing makes sense. You have your altitude, you have the fuel in some cases, and you have all the other things that you need to make sure everything's lined up just right for that perfect landing. But it's so good. I love this game.
Yeah, this one won the 2-player death match that I had in over the course of a bunch of 2-player games facing off against each other, and I played it. I've played it now since because last time it was brought up on this list. I hadn't played it, but now I've played it a couple times with my partner, and she's like, "Yeah, you can get this one." Nice. I was like, "All right, there you go." Like it's just like it's a nice chill. It doesn't overstay its welcome. You can play a couple rounds. I quite enjoy it. For sure.
And that's another thing too. I love the fact that it's only like a 20-minute game or so. It knocks it out of the park as far as that is concerned. But hey, we've gotten through almost all 10. Let's see. We've got one more person join us for this list, folks, through the magic of a video. Richard's got some thoughts on our picks and also the number 1 on the list. So let's turn it over to Richard.
Okay, folks. That was a great list, was it not? I'm really happy with all of them. Before we get to the number one on the list, let me do a few caveats. First of all, in case Ruel hasn't mentioned it earlier, this is the third time that a top 10 co-op list has appeared on my channel. I did one a decade ago, and then I did one half a decade ago with Ruel, by the way. And so I've already got 20 amazing co-op games I have talked about in the past. So today I only want to talk about games that haven't been on those previous lists. So actually, 3 of the ones that they already talked about, 2 from Chris and 1 from Ruel, were already on my previous list, specifically Pandemic, or specifically Legacy Season 1, greatest game of all time as far as I'm concerned, made it onto my original list. But Chris also had Spirit Island. That made it onto one of my earlier top 10 lists. And then Ruel had Paperback, which also made it on to my top 10 list. So of everything that was just talked about, I would say those are my 3 favorites. Although, Ray, if you dig kites, you have to check out Skyrockets. It takes the great gameplay of kites and just improves on it in every way. Imagine kites, but with a series of, I forget, like 20 or 30 different rules variants, kind of like how the crew keeps reinventing itself. Oh, you got to give it a go. You're going to love it. And, what else did they talk about? Chris, if you love Hanabi, you have to check out Beyond Baker Street. Imagine Hanabi, but with a real theme that makes sense, because players are all actually, investigators trying to outfox Sherlock Holmes and solve the mystery, but we're also in competition with each other, which is why we don't really understand what all the clues mean, so we can't just give perfect communication. It's so smart. And again, with a ton of variability and variety. Imagine Hanabi with special powers. Beyond Baker Street is amazing. What else did you guys have? Ruel, Sky Team, Ray, Decorum, let's see, Micro Macro, and then Ruel, Landmarks. Oh, Ruel, you are definitely Cult of the New. There are older co-op games out there, but an amazing list, folks. But better than all of them is our number 1. Although before I get to that, I'm just getting started, folks. So there is an extended edition of this show, right? If you go on ahead and follow the links down in the show notes, after we're done here with the show, you can just jump to the post show where I will give you my newest full top 10. I'm going to tell you about the 10 best co-op games that have come out in the last half decade since the last time I did this. Right now, I'm only telling you the best of the best, but then there is a lot more, and I'm sure the rest of the gang will have more as well, although maybe not Ray. I know this was like fingernails on a chalkboard trying to get her to come up with more co-ops. Maybe she'll talk about the art project in the extended. She really should. But anyway, the best of the best new co-op game that has come out in the last half decade has to be, by far, there's absolutely no competition at all. It is Daybreak. From designers Matt Leacock and Matteo Manapace, this just won the Kennerspiel for Best Game of the Year. And I completely agree. It was my number 1 ranked game of 2023. It is my number 12th highest ranked game of all time. And the more I play it, the more it climbs. Just even talking about it right now makes me want to be playing this so much. The best way I could sum up the gameplay here is imagine a co-op terraforming Mars. Except we're not trying to terraform the red planet, we're trying to save our blue planet. And it's all about engine building, having hands of cards, using these cards as multi-use to either make new projects that give us different ways to fight climate change, or they can instead be tucked under existing projects to make them more powerful, or they can be discarded to give us the resources we need to run our various engines. Every card is so laden with potential, and it's so hard to figure out. And then when you're playing co-op, there are so many opportunities, so many powers where players can share cards with each other, or help each other out with their individual problems, because everybody represents a different continent on the world, and we have our own different problems, our own different strengths and weaknesses. The game is absolutely phenomenal, and more than anything else we've talked about today, it is a game about true cooperation, because cooperation is the only way our species is going to get out of the situation we have put ourselves and our planet in. So the spirit of cooperation is woven throughout, and it's really strongly represented in the gameplay. And if all that weren't enough, this, I've got to say, is probably the most innovative new game in years, with the way that it integrates a living, evolving rule book and QR codes on all the cards. So if you're ever stuck on something, you don't have to dig through a 20-page rule book trying to figure out, right, how's this supposed to work here? You can just look at the card with your phone's camera and boom, just go directly to a web page devoted to that card and all the special powers on it. And you can see right there on the cards, the QR codes don't even stand out. They're really nicely put in, graphically. Everything about this game is amazing. I like it. It's my 12th highest ranked game of all time. It is the best new co-op game to come out in the last half decade. And don't take my word for it, folks. It won the Kennerspiel, and deservedly so, which is the highest, most prestigious award in all of board gamedom. And it's our number one on the list. But like I said, folks, follow the links down in the show notes. I've got 9 more amazing games from the last half decade to tell you about. And I'm sure the rest of the gang has some more as well. So back to you guys.
Wow, yeah, I need to play Daybreak. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I have not seen a copy around. I don't know if they're readily available yet. I just haven't been able to pick one up, and none of my friends have either. But this looks fantastic. I cannot wait to play this, and I can see why, based on everyone's reactions, why this would be on our list. Ray, Chris, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I just blue screened.
I
haven't played Daybreak. I have no thoughts on Daybreak. I've heard good things about it, but I've never played.
Got it.
I'll give some final thoughts, Ruel.
Thank you,
Do
Chris.
it.
The 3 of us together, the 4 of us together, creating
cut the line.
a beautiful,
Get us off the air.
A beautiful list together
No.
is one of my favorite co-op games to do.
God.
Really, and
The co-op
also
game is the friends we made along the way.
That's exactly what I was about to say. The real co-op
sorry,
game
you need to take it from me.
is a friends that we made along the way.
I'm sorry.
Like all
I'm
of
sorry.
you in the comments, I'm just so happy to be communally creating the wonderful story of Hatman and why he hates his wife. So again, that's my favorite co-op game. Hatman and why does he hate his wife? Coming to stores in 2025 from the Op.
I'd play that game.
You've heard it here first. The Op has picked up the publishing rights. I'm giving them first right of refusal here, and we'll see what happens. No, that's it's kind of fun to start with Matt Leacock and to end with Matt Leacock on the list as well. In terms of that, like moving forward towards that cooperative thing.
Yep.
And what's another great thing cooperating for our community is when Arcane Wonders made Foundations of Rome cheaper.
Yes, Foundations of
I was
Metropolis.
a big fan of that. Like,
Same
I am
here.
still really stoked for that.
Exactly.
So thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
And
friends.
go watch the extended edition because we got more to talk about.
That's right. Click on those links below, folks. And again, thanks to Arcane Wonders for sponsoring this episode of the R&R Show. We'll see you next time. Take care. So long. Bye-bye. And hello, we are back, friends, for the post show. And thanks again for hanging out. Appreciate y'all taking care of us when we got a raid. So thanks for the raid.
Thank you, Mishy Geek. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. We're gonna jump right into Richard's list because he's got a bunch of games he wants to talk about, and then we'll come back live here and talk about. We'll roast his picks after he talks about
we'll roast his picks.
100%.
So again,
Raise
if you're
roast.
thanks folks. And if you're here again, drop your favorite co-op games in chat and we'll talk about those as well. All right. Richard,
Sweat, talk about that roast beef.
Yeah, the roast beef.
Oh my God.
There it is. Meat Sweats. Go ahead, Richard.
All right, post-show time, my favorite time of the show where you get to hear a bunch more stuff, and I'm not going to beat around the bush, folks. I promised a full top 10 best co-op games from the last half decade since the last time I did this list, and that's what I'm going to get you. So get comfortable, and Chris, Ray, and Ruel, you can go on ahead and chat with the live audience, because I'm going to try and go as quick as I can. We'll see how quick I can pull it off. Number 10 on my list is Diceborn Heroes. This is basically answers the question, what would a Gloomhaven be if it were dice driven and didn't have a map? It's Dice-born Heroes, and it is absolutely phenomenal. I almost didn't put this on the list because, sadly, it had a very long and tumultuous, very difficult to deliver Kickstarter campaign, and for all I know, it was never available in retail and was only available to backers like me. So, sadly, you might not be able to get your hands on it, at least not unless you're willing to, go to aftermarket. But you can watch my run through, folks, from a while ago. This is absolutely fantastic. Both Jen and I were blown away by it. If you want Gloomhaven vibes, but you've only got a half an hour and you want to roll some dice, but not for roll to resolve, oh no, then Dice-born Heroes is very worth checking out. It's number 10. And what we have then? Number 9, oh my goodness, Pandemic Rapid Response. This one, it's weird. I had to go back and check. I only put this video up like a few days before Ruel and I did our previous top 10, so it just missed it. It really should have been on that list, but I am correcting things now. This is basically Kane Klenko, the designer of Fuse, which is one of the greatest cooperative real-time games of all time and made one of my earlier co-op lists, taking real-time co-op gameplay, but infusing it into the world of Pandemic, where we are all on a rapid response jet flying around the world, kind of like a rondelle around the outskirts of the board. And on my turn, I've got these cool special dice, and I've only got a few seconds, or what, I think each player on their turn gets 2 minutes to roll those dice and use them as best they can before they hand over control to the next player. And everything I do, I have to pay attention to what you have done and what you're trying to do. It is incredibly tension-filled. And a really wonderful thing, and it's unlike any other Pandemic Rapid Response. Then we've got Paperback Adventures. And by the way, I'm not showing my video of Paperback Adventures here because I did a run through of it with a very ugly looking prototype. So I went to Danny Chaw. Danny Chaw, you should check out her channel, folks. It's fantastic. She does lots of really great solo playthroughs. And this is predominantly a solo game, but it plays very well as a 2-player co-op also, where it takes the wonderful deck building, Scrabble style word building of Paperback and turns it into a fantasy boss fighter with cool special powers and weapons and items and cool tricks that the bad guys can fight. All the while, you're constantly trying to build words, and this makes it hard for me to go back to Paperback, quite frankly. And Ruel, you need to tell me why. How did this not beat Paperback for you? Because don't get me wrong, Paperback is an amazing co-op experience too, but this one, oh my gosh, it is so fantastic. Tans, you've got it, Danny Chaw. Anyway, I highly recommend, Paperback Adventures. Okay, then, hold on. We go on to number 7, Forbidden Jungle, the latest in Matt Leacock's Forbidden series and the second best of the series. The best is still Forbidden Desert, which made one of my previous lists, but I would say Forbidden Jungle is definitely better than Forbidden Sky, although I really like Forbidden Sky too. A lot of people don't, but I think Forbidden Sky is great, and Forbidden Desert is good if you're, playing with first-timers. It's way too gateway for us. But Forbidden Jungle is interesting. It's actually set on a lush jungle planet where you're being chased by aliens, but really, the automated game system that you're playing against is kind of like an animal ecosystem as the aliens move around in semi-predictable ways, and you're trying to collect all the resources you need to make a portal that you found in the ruins to get off this mysterious planet. Like all the Forbidden games, it's fast, it's elegant, it's really fun. And this one's interesting because it combines different things from Forbidden Desert with the other games. And I am hoping that we get another one, because when you win this game and you go in the portal, you never know where you're going. I'm assuming game 5 in the series is going to be Forbidden Planet. Fingers crossed, here we go. But in the meantime, I absolutely adore number 7, Forbidden Jungle. Then we have got number 6 on the list, Leviathan Wilds. There it is, right right there over my head, right there. This is a wonderful cooperative game that is basically a board game version of the classic video game Shadows of a Colossus, where in the video game you're a lone hero trying to climb up a 50-story tall colossus and defeat it, kill it by stabbing all its weak points while trying to stay alive and not get knocked off. This takes that idea and gives you, I don't remember how many, there's a whole book full of different colossi, like this big rock monster that I'm fighting here. Except the trick is, I love the twist. We are cooperatively trying to scale over this thing that's constantly moving and swiping and creating dangerous situations for us, and we're deck building and all kinds of stuff. But the interesting thing is, we're not actually trying to kill the beast. The beast is an innocent creature that has just been driven into a rage by these growths, these mysterious crystalline growths on it. And so we have to run around and save the creature, and at the same time save the planet from the thing that's being ravaged by this monster. I love the twist on the story here, and this has got to be one of the most thematic cooperative games you will ever play. Highly recommend everybody check out Leviathan Wilds. Then we've got Endangered, my number 5, and this is an amazing game where we are working cooperatively. We're environmentalists with different backgrounds and different special powers. Every time you play, you pick a different endangered species. Like here, I'm demonstrating trying to rescue polar bears as they're, sadly, the polar ice is melting, and yet they still have to try to thrive and stay alive. But the game comes with actually working on several different types of animals, and there's a few expansions now that even more. Every type of animal that you're going to try to save when you set this up works in a very, very different way, whether they're migratory animals that you're trying to make that, or in this case where their homes are literally melting out from underneath them and you're trying to get them into position. But they're wild animals. They don't always do what you want to do. So you've got to try and figure things out as best you can. It is absolutely fantastic. It is kind of heartbreaking to play as well. My wife found it actually infuriating, but it is also something where it shows humanity at their best, working together to solve problems, and the cooperative puzzling nature of it is amazing as well. So I highly recommend Endangered. Then we move on to number 4, Unsettled. Now, this is a real rarity in board games. This is a hard sci-fi cooperative adventure. And what that means is there's a lot of sci-fi games, but pretty much at the end of the day, pretty much all sci-fi board games, and most sci-fi video games for that matter, are just offshoots of James Cameron's Aliens. James Cameron's Aliens has such an overly large influence on pop culture and other movies and games and whatnot. It's so Unsettled is a breath of fresh air because we are not space marines. We do not have guns. We are a team of scientists who find ourselves stranded on, every time you play, it's one of several different alien planets, and we're just trying to survive in truly strange and truly alien situations, and trying to find a way to get off without, killing everything we see, but instead, to borrow a phrase from The Martians, the movie or the books, we have to science the bleep out of it to solve our problems. And I think it's amazing. The cooperative gameplay is very nice with, beautiful big chunky dice that determine what actions we have available to us every round. Every one of the planets works in really interesting ways. Trying to escape from the low gravity asteroid belt is particularly interesting, as all the asteroids are moving around and you're floating through the air and stuff. But more than anything else, what really makes this game stand out is it's not like Hollywood science fiction where, hey, because we only have so much budget, we just pretty much put people in alien suits and have them run around and everything's humanoid. Here, all the things you will come across are truly alien. Look at this alien swamp if you see the art there. It does not look like an Earth swamp that they maybe just kind of changed the overall color balance on. It truly looks and feels and acts alien. And that's what makes Unsettled stand out. And Andrew, I want my copy back. I lent it to a friend. He's had it for over a year. I want to get it back in place because I haven't finished all the, the plans yet. Unsettled is fantastic. Number 3 on my list is The Loop. And I have mentioned this as being the greatest game inspired by pandemic stress structure that isn't Pandemic itself, even greater than the other games in the Forbidden series. It's a time travel game where we are running around trying to stay one step ahead of the evil Dr. Fu that is creating time paradoxes all over the place, and we've got to clean those up while also deck building. And the beautiful thing is, as we're deck building, we got all these different cards. If we end in a certain spot, we can grab one of the cards. But often I need to end in a different spot because that place will basically get swallowed up by a temporal black hole if I don't end over there. But if I end over here instead, I can build my deck, and that's the perfect card for me, because you're trying to get cards that can actually, if you get the right hand of cards at the right time, you can create a loop and reuse your cards multiple times. And it's very satisfying when you pull that off, but you have to deck build for it, which means sometimes you put your deck ahead of the space-time continuum, and it's just full of fun, challenging decisions, and it's amazing. It's also got a couple of expansions that make it even better, the loop. And then finally, number 2 on my short list, it's got to be Roll Camera. Here I am demoing the B-Movie expansion. And yeah, this is a cooperative dice worker placement game, which I think this is the only one on the list we've talked about today. This makes it very, very interesting. Really, I mean, what else is there out there besides, I guess, Robinson Crusoe, which I'm kind of surprised nobody put it on their list. Anyway, though, but if you wanted to play Robinson Crusoe, but set in trying to make a Hollywood blockbuster, and you want to be able to finish in about a third of the time, and you want to have more cooperation, more collaboration with a very, very smart version of imperfect communication. Because on your turn, you're going to roll the dice. That will let you do different things like build the set, touch up the script, make the actors happy, or deal with crises that are popping up on the set. Every round, new ones appear, and you can let them go, but they'll build up and become super crises if you don't nip them in the bud, but sometimes you don't have time to do that. But my favorite thing about this game is, on anybody's turn, one of the things they can do with their dice is, you're sending your dice worker placement stuff around, is call a meeting. And that means everybody has a handful of meeting cards in their deck, and you have a staff meeting, and then everybody has to try to vie for, no, have a meeting with my card because I've got this idea that will help me or it will help you or whatever. It's a brilliant game. I love it to pieces. It's the second best new co-op game of the last decade, only eclipsed by, as I already talked about it, Daybreak. But anyway, folks, that's it. One more thing I'm going to mention as a caveat before I go back to the gang and we hear what else they have. There is an interesting movement that has happened over the last half decade in co-ops. That is expansions that turn previously competitive games into cooperative games. And there were some amazing ones. In fact, if I had allowed that, some of them would have made it into my top 10, but I was just trying to do pure co-op games. So that means, sadly, I'm not talking to you today about Viticulture World, Lost Ruins of Aranax, A Missing Expedition, Dead Reckoning, Letters of the Mark, the West Kingdom Tome Saga expansion that turns all 3 West Kingdom games into co-ops, Orleans Invasion, Wingspan Asia. Folks, did you know you could play Wingspan as a 2-player co-op game with the Asia expansion? Jump Drive Velocity. Folks, did you know you could play Jump Drive Velocity with the expansion? Although that's not in the box. You have to go to Board Game Geek, and Tom Lehman has posted rules there. And Catacombs Redbox. Would you like a cooperative disc flicking dungeon crawling adventure? There's a lot of cool. There's so much I could have talked about today, folks. But I am done throwing back to the gang. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. 14 minutes. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Richard. Appreciate it. Folks, we're back. Tons of games out there, right, that could have made the list. There a couple of quick comments. I've not played Unsettled, but Richard was talking about how it was a hard science game. That's really interesting to me. I'd love to check that one out. I recently read for the first time Project Hail Mary, which if you've seen or read The Martian, that's the same author, and it's one of the best books I've read in years. Absolutely fantastic hard science book. Super entertaining page turner. Highly recommend. Andy Weir's the author, and it's called Project Hail Mary. So read that if you can, folks. It's gonna be a movie soon enough, but cool. Absolutely loved it. Thanks to my friend Becca Scott for recommending that book. Also want to talk about Roll Camera, fantastic game. And as Chris said in the comments, it's B movie as in B, letter B.
With the B movie expansion.
Deeply upsetting. The way I was on my phone just listening, the way I perked up and I was like,
that was great.
The B movie? How
like,
has there been a B-movie board game that I don't know about?
I have
Oh
never
my
seen
God.
somebody have so much happiness and then see the
so
happiness
good.
and be responsible to drain the happiness out of their
Yeah, that
eyes.
sucked. That really sucked.
Yeah.
I'm glad you immediately knew what I meant when I said B-movie.
I was
With
like,
that
oh no.
enthusiasm.
I honestly feel like really honored that I got it right, and I feel like that like levels up friendship. That's like a friendship level up
100%.
that just happened. I was like, I see you,
1000%.
Ray, and
I felt very
unfortunately
seen by
have
that.
to,
I really
have to crush
did.
your dreams.
Oh, I love it. Paperback Adventures. Richard mentioned that game. I love Paperback Adventures. It's probably my favorite of the paperback games, but the way I've experienced it, it's only solo, and I don't think it would be that great as a cooperative game. I think it's strictly a solo game. That's why I chose.
I think Richard's wrong.
Yeah, there it is. Richard getting roasted.
Heard it here first.
Yeah.
Boom, roasted.
All right. So those are the picks from Richard. Let's talk about the ones that we that did make our list. Chris and Ray. Ray, do you want to share a few? Do you have a few more besides the one that you added?
I actually do.
Okay.
I know.
Art project you got to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I was this again. This was a moment of growth for me. I was able to list almost 10 co-op games that I was like, I could talk about these. These could have been on my list.
Nice.
The list would have been a lot longer if we could have done semi co-op and other things like that. But I was able to come up with, I think, like 7. So I had Sky Team, which ended up on the list. I had the crew / the gang.
Okay.
The crew ended up being cut because it's like I would rather play a competitive trick taker than play the crew, but I do get why the crew is cool, and I would have been happy to talk about it. I personally probably wouldn't pick the crew over a competitive trick taking game, but I was like, obviously that's a very famous, very well known, that kind of pioneered the we can do other things with trick taking games concept. And I like that they're continuing that with the gang as well, which is just cooperative poker. Which is a hard sell.
That's right. I know what you're talking about.
I liked it.
I loved it, Ray. Coming, again, as a poker player, I thought it was fascinating that we could play it cooperatively. But in my mind, I was still trying to get the best hand in my mind. But
see, that's the thing. Because I also grew up playing poker and just with my family.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was interesting. It definitely has an audience. I probably still would rather play poker, but it was still very unique and interesting. And I'm curious to see if it hits the same way the crew did. I know that was a Gen Con release. I got to play it a little earlier. I also had Mysterium and Mysterium Park on my list.
Yeah.
I think if you liked Mysterium, but you found it kind of clunky and the box too big, check out Mysterium Park. I think it trims a lot of the fat from Mysterium, which I like that experiential. How well do you know my mind? And what am I hinting at? I think that's fun. That really only works in a co-op setting.
Yep.
I would have been happy to talk about Mysterium. I also did, before Richard scolded me, I did have the art project on my list as well. That is, if you like Pandemic, the art project is a really great kind of spiritual successor to Pandemic. It's quite a bit simpler than Pandemic, but it has a cool communication barrier. And it's a game that we published at the Op. It was a game that we published last year. But yeah, it's a similar style. You're reclaiming bits of stolen art with multiple maps and limited communication. It's fantastic. And yeah, that was my short list.
That's a pretty good short list.
That is a really good short list.
I really dug deep. I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah,
well done.
Thank you.
What about you, Chris? Anything that you want to share?
I luckily, a couple months ago, we did our top 10 in my own room and board Discord, and so I had it primed and ready. I didn't have to think at all.
Nice.
And so I just pulled.
Thinking.
I love not thinking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate thinking. I've never thought once, and I'm not going to start now. But so I was able to pull from there, which was great. It's just a direct sort of replica. I have a video on it which amalgamates what the community's top 10 is, and then my own top 10 alongside of it, which is kind of fun. But yeah, so going up from 10, I had the Unlock series, which I like. I had Magic Maze. When you were talking about kites, I was going to talk about Magic Maze. Yep. Very similar time.
Interjecting real quick. I love exit games. I wasn't sure if we were allowing escape room style games on the list, but if we're allowing Unlock, I want to also throw in. I love the exit games.
You like the exit games more than Unlock? I like Unlock more than
I've
exit.
never played Unlocked. I only know exit games.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I mainly like Unlock more because of the sustainability like aspect that you can just reset and give it to somebody. Exit, it is that more like one time. And then Escape the Room, though I tried a couple of those and those were pretty fun too. I tried like a specific 2-player Escape the Room. It was like the little girl's doll or something. That's not the title, but you know, there's a doll on the cover. Yeah, it's scary, right? Little girl's doll.
The little girl's doll or something.
I've always been afraid. Magic Maze, I think I have a fun time with the sand timering and the like beating the clock. I put Dead of Winter on there because I don't care about semi-co-op.
Dead of Winter is fantastic. It's a classic.
I put it on there.
No, semi-co-op is a different list. I would have had Nemesis on here. I would have had Dead of Winter on here. No.
No. I would never put Nemesis on for co-op. But I would put Dead of Winter on for co-op because it's basically always co-op unless you get unless you get a betrayer. And you can play it. We can play it if it's co-op, and if you get a betrayer, the betrayer just wins because you know it's easy to tank the game.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Richard had mentioned how we did this list like 5 years ago when before I joined the channel, and I put Dead of Winter on the list, but I specifically said as a co-op game, like you take out the betrayer cards or traitor cards, you just play 2 players, and you just try to.
You can play
survive.
2 players.
Yeah,
co-op.
totally.
It's boring.
Yeah, it's not as good as the
Then I leave your game night and I don't play with you.
Oh, you know what? I got to say one thing about Magic Maze. The best part of Magic Maze is when you have that little token and you're like banging it on the table to tell someone to hurry up. What is that called?
It's called the do something piece because you need them to do something.
More games need that, I think. You know, just for funsies.
Then I had Aeon's End Legacy, specifically the Legacy version of that one. Letter Jam is also great, but
Letter Jam.
Similar to Hanabi. And then I had Too Many Bones because I like it, but you should only play it at 2.
I'm sorry. Hold on. We just said Letter Jam similar to Hanabi. How?
Yeah, you don't know your card.
You're like
for the same reasons I like Hanabi.
Everyone else looks at
Letter Jam.
Okay. All right, I'm with you.
Your cards are facing.
I take back my look of disgust. I understand now.
I saved it. And then Attack on Titan, the deck building game, which is my number 2 game of all time, but I like it for many reasons, and co-op is one of those reasons. But if you get a bad group, or if you get a group like sometimes you need a support deck in that, and it's not always fun to be a support deck. I think it's fun to be a support deck, but I recognize that like if you have all the cool attacks and like, or if I have all the cool attacks and you're like, hey Chris, draw a card, get this cool thing, it sometimes becomes less fun in terms of that like co-op experience. But I enjoy no matter what deck I'm building in that.
Nice. I've got a couple that didn't make my list. So we had Sky Team Landmarks. The one that I had previously on the list that didn't make it this time was The Mind. Some people say
I also had that on my list.
Did you have that? Okay, yeah.
I didn't write it down, but I heavily considered
Ray, you love co-op games. Go.
No, no, I don't. No, I don't. No,
I've
like
never
weird
known someone
The Mind is like
who
a
loves
weird
co-op
more
than you.
Yeah, no.
The Mind is good.
I'm way too cool for co-ops.
Yeah, right.
Clearly.
Yeah,
The Mind is cool though.
really
The Mind
it.
gets a lot of hate, so I like to stake my claim as I'm a Mind appreciator.
I am
think
too.
the game
I
is
am
cool
too.
and,
Yeah.
and fine.
From
I like
day
it.
one.
Yeah, Slivers, you're right. You're right, Slivers. When I think of co-op, I now think Ray.
Oh,
That's
there it
why.
is. Yeah, Ray is the co-op.
I hate
Also,
the co-op queen.
Yeah, there it is. Escape the Curse of the Temple. That's the one. It's sort of like Indiana Jones themed. You're rolling dice. It's sort of like real-time Yahtzee. I think that one's a fun co-op game. Lots of dice chucking in that. Dorf Romantic, the board game, the wonderful video game that was turned into a tile laying game. I actually preferred. I think it's more of a solo type thing, but it's super chill. It's good for a co-op game. What else did I have? King of Monster Island. That's the King of Tokyo co-op version where all the big monsters are fighting a bigger monster with dice and stuff. That one's fun. Also, Sprawlopolis, the 18 card button shy game, cooperatively trying to make a cool little city. And as I'm talking, another one just popped in my brain, and it just left my brain. I just forgot I was going to say something. But anyways, tons of great co-op games there. As you can tell, folks, Ray's got a bunch of them.
That's true.
Stop that.
You can't spell co-op without the off. I think is what you're meaning, John Tripp.
I think
Chris
is killing it with the. y'all.
My stream is buffering hard.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, my stream is. I can
Oh
see
wait,
the blue.
it
yeah,
looks like we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we might be back.
I
I'm
never
gonna
lost
real
y'all.
quick-
Like, it's been okay on my end, but I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, we're back. We're good.
Oh, okay, cool. Yay.
We're good.
Okay, can you? Okay, cool.
I'm gonna real quick.
Yeah.
Before we end the stream, I do wanna give a minute to talk about some of chat's picks. So before we did the recording, I asked people to tell us what your favorite co-op games were. So I'm gonna run through what chat said. So we had Stacey Everdell said Robinson Crusoe is by far my favorite co-op. I have not played it, but I know it's like up there with like the classics, right? We have Keep the Heroes Out. This is a game I've heard of only from like my European friends. I don't know if it's just more popular over there, if it never made it to the States, but I've heard very good things about that.
Cool.
As well as Dungeon Fighter.
Bunch of villains. Oh, yeah? You got really cute meeples, depending upon what faction you are.
Ah, cute. We had Dungeon Fighter, which I'm unfamiliar with. As well as Bloody Lion said Paint the Roses. That's a game that every time I see it, I'm really intrigued by it. I've never played it, but I think the concept behind that game is really interesting. If I'm being totally honest, it's just the fact that it's co-op that's kept me away. But I always, every time I see the board and I hear the pitch, I'm like, oh, that sounds so interesting.
Well, but it is deduction too. If you don't like cryptid, I don't know if you'd like it.
Yeah. Bing said Pandemic, Castle Panic, Spirit Island, Escape, the Curse of the Temple. We had another Keep the Heroes Out, another Paint the Roses, Decorum, love to see it. A couple of other escape games, Escape Zombie City. What else do we have? Dungeon Fighter love. Pandemic got a lot of love. But yeah, those are the ones that I.
And right now, Corthane's saying Bandito.
Oh yeah, Bandito's terrific. Yeah, another small card game where you're trying to tunnel out of using these cards. It's a really fun game.
Letter Jam.
And Letter Jam. We mentioned that. But yeah, those were. Wait, belligerent. You're not allowed to say you think the mind isn't a game, but you like the game. You are where they're the same game, right? I will die on the hill that the mind is a game. I am someone who likes to play games that bend the rules of what a game is. You're allowed to not like it, but I think if we allowed, they're not. How are they not the same? Are they?
They're pretty close to being the same.
Am I mistaken? I thought they were just a reskin.
The mind. Well, no, they're slightly different because like you mostly.
I've never actually played the game. I figured.
Yeah, the game is mostly like sort of face up, and it's more like counting up and up and up because you only have 4 stacks in the game, so the mind like kind of goes in rounds. In the game, you're trying to like really make your way through like more cards, but like in feel. I feel like they're pretty similar. You can belligerent. You can let me know if I got that.
I learned something today. I just thought it was like marketed towards like I thought it was just like marketed differently, like the same thing, but different skins. Yeah. Interesting. But yeah,
I prefer the mind to the game personally.
Same.
I find the mind a little bit more in that like unspoken communication. I found the game to be a little bit more on like the counting side, and I like the rounds. I think of the mind. To keep like
you get the reset and you like
resets.
Yeah, no, I actually really like the mind. I think it's a silly, fun, again, limited communication, really like getting in each other's heads. I think that's a very fun mechanism.
I love the feeling of like when you go on that run, right, in the mind where you're like locked in. Isn't that really great? Close, That's one of the best feelings. Good. Yeah.
It is so I love it. I love it. It's super simple, but I don't think that detracts from like I enjoy when I play it.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah. Okay. Folks, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the R&R Show. Thanks again to Ray and Chris. And for you all, thank you all for hanging out with us today. We're going to send you off on a raid. Be sure to stick around. You're going to get some more Rahdo points, which you can spend on all kinds of cool stuff here. I've got, let me see, who's someone called Rolling Duel. No, Board Boss Live is playing Top Gun, I guess, the board game. I have no idea. What is this? Looks like a card game.
What?
We're gonna raid you out. We're gonna send you on over there. Tell them to say, let them know we said hello. Let them know what we're up to, and we're gonna start this raid off in a couple of seconds. Chris, Ray, before we get going, is there anything you'd like to share before we get this raid going?
Nope. Bye.
Bye.
Oh.
Bye, Chris. Ray.
I was just gonna say I'm streaming this Sunday.
Cool.
I've had a little hiatus from my streaming channel. If you want to hop over to Ray's Retros, I'm gonna be playing some Sims.
Awesome. And that's this week Sunday, was it?
Yeah, this Sunday, yeah.
Awesome, cool. And folks, you can find me this Wednesday over on Good Time Society. Becca Scott and I are hosting Good Morning Society, 10 a.m. Pacific, where we have our caffeinated beverages and talk board games. Come on over, it's a lot of fun.